Mic is muted. Okay. Well, that looks better. That looks way better. Oh, wait a minute. Let's get the correct camera. No, that's the wrong camera. Let's use that camera. Yeah, okay. And it looks like the mic is up and running. Let's just plug that in. All right, we've got power. All right. Thank you for being here. We're back here in Canada, back from Mexico. And yeah, I've got the bonfire right here. So I just want to welcome Miskatonic Madman. And I want to welcome Old Man Bird. Hello. Good to see you, my friend. And yeah, drinks, a good idea. Old Man Bird, drinks for a sunny Sunday afternoon. Adult beverages or, non-alcoholic, whichever you prefer. Old Man, big fella. Good to see you, DJ Play Nice. Excellent. And Old Man Bird says it's 5:45 a.m. in Malaysia. Carla should definitely be up. Well, let's hope so. We can get her in on this panel. And thanks, Old Man Bird. Excellent. And yeah, well, hopefully we do get at least a dozen of our friends in here. That would be excellent. And here's oh, good. Okay, you can hear me. Here's one of our friends, Suzanne. Hi. Well, I wasn't sure, Old Man Bird, because this microphone has been through a lot, as you can see. It's now I didn't take it to Mexico with me because I didn't think it would survive. I just used the microphone that's on the camera. That seemed to work. But yeah, I want to welcome Lemon Pie. Hi, good afternoon. And hello, everyone. Good to see everyone. So I'm going to get to work making this fire. Now, Old Man Bird, I know you made reference that, yeah, you just needed some birch bark. So I'm not going to use any gasoline or diesel, no propellants. I've got a little tiny cardboard that I laid down on the base because we've been getting rain lately, which is great. So the cardboard is just at the very bottom, just so the damp ground doesn't get up into our fire starting stuff. So yeah, this is just birch bark, just this much birch bark. That's all it takes. There's oils in the birch bark. So I'm just going to light it up. I'll break it up into this size pieces, a little more surface area for the fire to go. And we're just going to put that at the bottom, on top of the cardboard, keep it off the damp ground. And then I've got some really dry, you can tell they're dry because they snap so easily. And with that sharp, crisp sound, so you know it's dry. I had these under cover. And we've got some leftover wood from the fire, whatever the last fire I had was, probably a month ago easily. I was in Mexico for a month. But it's a bit wet, but it'll go. Put that on top. The smaller sticks on the bottom, bigger stuff on top. Make sure there's lots of room for air. Air is just as important as the fuel. It is one of the three-legged triangles of the stool of fire. The three-legged stool of successful fire making. Fuel, air, and ignition temperature. Heat. So yeah, we've got lots of air in there. We've got some little sticks on the bottom, on top of the birch bark, which is, and the cardboard's in there just to, like I said, keep the dampness of the ground up. Anyway, so we're going to start small. We've got some wind today. Even though we've had a good amount of rain in the last couple days, I still don't want, too big a fire if we've got some wind. Why do we have the wind? Well, we had quite a cold night last night. It was down around the freezing point. And now today it's t-shirt weather, really. So thus we get one of the causes of wind, so I'm led to believe. Either that or it's aliens. Shout out to Cardinal Sin. Gil, you're always with me, man, when I'm lighting the bonfire. Always. That's all it took. One little flash of the lighter. I think that's all it's going to take, folks, if I've done that right. If I've done that correctly. And I'm cleaning away the debris on the ground to set the chopping block on, because you don't want any sawdust or anything springy to take away from the force to absorb the energy of the splitting axe. So you want to put it on firm, solid ground. Of course. Hopefully you can still hear me. And hey, I want to shout out to Sci-Fi Mombi. Hello to you. Definitely want to say hello to you. And hey, Stark of Iron, buddy. Good to see you. And Jason Love. Excellent. Howdy to you. And yeah, you're darn right, R.I.P. Gil. Let's get some water in us before I crack open the beer. Let's get some water in us, folks. I'm blocking the fire. See, Gil would never block the fire. He knows how to stream. And I want to say, John the Beagle Dad, let's find him. Hello, John the Beagle Dad. Hi, good to see you. And I did see your email, John the Beagle Dad. I haven't had time to look at it, honestly. I haven't. There's a whole raft of emails I've got to go through, but I know you've got some awesome pictures of some, probably some doggies, I'm guessing. Did you shoot it with fireworks? Yes. Quite likely, yes. Among other things. And yeah, I want to say hello to Miskatonic Madman again, just making sure I didn't miss anyone. And Sci-Fi Mombi, good to see you. Boy, it is warm out here, I'll tell you what. Now I've got the fire on my back. Oh yeah, that's going good. See, that's a nice little fire. We'll make it bigger than that, a little. Lemon Pie in the chat says, that microphone looks like it lost the high ground during a lightsaber duel. That is exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. I think that actually did involve maybe a lightsaber blow or two. That's funny. So I do want to say Mexico was a blast, but one of the good things about being back here is it's springtime. The sun during the daytime, like it's t-shirt weather, so I can handle that. Nighttime's a little chilly, but I've got the wood stove going, so that's going fantastic. And then I do miss the humidity, though. Oh man, the humidity was fantastic. I do miss the humidity. That was good. But yeah, and Tony, I know if you want up here, buddy, just let me know. I've sent a link via the TwitTwat thingy. So yeah, if you want to join, you're welcome to. No pressure. If you want to just hang back in the chat, that is also fine. But yeah, I tell you what, I do miss not having to cook your food and clean up after yourself, the dishes, I mean, all the time. Because when I was in Mexico, I bought, as you can see some of the videos on my channel, I bought slabs of like marlin or sailfish or mahi-mahi at the fish market that was caught that morning, brought it home to friends' places and cooked them up right there on the stove. You can do that and I've had delicious meals. Some of the friends there, were fantastic at their hospitality and would have me over for meals, or a group of us would get together, and we did cook some there, but most of the time, the food out in the streets or in the neighborhood restaurants, and some of them are open air restaurants, and some of them are actual, proper, fancy North American, or well, Canadian style restaurants. But the food there was most most likely, most of the time, made right in house, including the tortillas. They'd have the dough, and someone would be using the tortilla press and then throwing them right on the grill and making tortillas for the tacos. Right there, shout out to Greek Letters. They were making the tortillas, which formed the base of the tacos, right in house. The sauces were made in house. The chop of the meats from the half a pig that they had, was all fresh from that day and from that area. So that was good. I try to do that a lot here, but it's harder. We don't have the abundance, quite, that Mexico does all the year round in their variety of food, because we're a colder nation. But where I can, I try. But yeah, the food. The other thing is it's good value there. It's not much cheaper for you to eat at home than it is to go out and have a basic meal. Now, if you want to go and have fancy meals, you can spend a lot of money. I'm talking just basic street tacos, that don't really cost a lot to produce. Therefore, you can have a meal pretty darn cheap. And I'm talking like, a buck and a half a taco, and it's a good meal. And you can have 10 different kinds of tacos in a day. They all can be different. How are they different? Well, chicken, pork. Hello, good to welcome everybody. They can be fish tacos, fish breaded or unbreaded. You can have beef, tripe, which is the intestines. You can have how do you say head? Cebulla? No, that's onion. Cabasa is just from the head of the cow, tacos. So that's just the meats, and then you can have chorizo sausage as the filling for the meats, and none of that is terribly expensive for them to produce, and so it's not expensive for them to. And usually they're the street vendors, of course. They don't even have a. They're in a street cart, so they keep their costs really low, and it's a good value meal. It's a good, honest, delicious meal. It's made from natural food right around there. They make it right there themselves. They are an industrious lot, the food seller, and sometimes it's a couple. It's a team. Husband and wife, or presumably husband and wife team, and it's just good value, and it's fun because they're friendly folks to learn stuff from as well. And I want to say, yeah, again, hello, Jason Love. Now, this fire is dying down because I've been ignoring it. So I'm going to get right back to it. And yeah, you said it, indeed. And hello, Stark of Iron. Great to see you, my friend. I did send you a link, Tony, but no obligation, my friend. If you just want to hang in the chat, that's cool, too. This fire sucks right now. It's just about out. Too busy talking. And, oh, hey, PvP. I do want to say hello to you. And Dark Helmet, I see you guys there. And hey, JPRPH1, I gotta attend to this fire. Shit. Yappity, 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 yap. And now the fire's out, just about. See, this is Dark Helmet. Do you want to come on? PvP, if you're still there. There. It's not quite out, but it's a pathetic fire. Just about out. Damn near dropped the ball there. quite a bit of wind lately, so it's knocked down a lot of the branches. It seems pretty punky, pretty wet. Yeah, that's pretty shitty right there, this particular piece. I don't know if that'll burn really well. It's not awesome, this piece. We shall see. Cutting it up smaller lets it burn easier and more quickly than just throwing big pieces on. Again, more surface area, just smaller pieces, easier to ignite. Oh man, that's shitty. That's pretty shitty. Jeez, that's pretty tall. Oh, that's pretty tall for me. Can barely get a full swing in. Yeah, that's better. Come on. Stay still so as I can hit you. There. That's still quite a big piece. That just might serve our purposes. Neat. Maybe. We shall see. Right in a knot. This is a knotty piece. go. Put that over there. Let that dry out. And there we go. All right, folks. Now that the fire is attended to, hopefully you can hear me okay. John the Beagle Dad says, I'm happy with street meals. Absolutely. The only time that I can remember getting any kind of, well, other than that, I mean, in India, I drank the water at the train station, but it said drinking water. It just didn't mean for white people. But the only time I got sick with any kind of food illness, it wasn't self-inflicted, would have been at a restaurant. Because you can't see what's going on in the kitchen. But at least with street food, I mean, literally, they prepare it just about from scratch in front of you. So you can be the judge of their food safety practices and choose to eat where you wish to. And hey, old man bird, I've always appreciated your support, man. 9 more subscribers. That's right. I'm up to 491 or something like that. But I'm pretty sure I'll have to delete most of my live stream content. They're never gonna monetize me. No way. I'd have to delete half that stuff, I think. It's been cold out at night the past week. Yeah, it has. The daytime, I mean, it's 16 degrees. That's got to be 60, low 60s Fahrenheit, I would assume. That's pretty darn good. It is warm out today. Stark of Iron says, good to hang out. I'll be on with Rob Wright and Heather L in an hour and a half. Okay, well, I'll be done by then. It's not gonna be a marathon stream. So I think I've got plans to go shooting later this evening. So John the Beagle Dad says, don't sweat it, catch up and you will be fine. Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to spend time with my family as well right here locally. So yeah, good to have you here. Happy, Old Man Bird says, Stark of Iron, happy you get to enjoy the stream from the other side of the camera. No kidding. It is I understand that sentiment. Absolutely. And yeah, you said it, Sci-Fi Mommy. Good to have you here. And yeah, sounds like the fire is going pretty good. It sounds like we're in good shape. And JPRPH1 says, hey, old folks. Yeah, good to see you. Always happy to have you here. And yeah, street meals. Love the street food. And they're different varieties. Like I said, they have different sauces, different condiments. So they give you basically, most of the time, they'll give you the tortilla shells with the meat on it. And so that's the starting of the taco, right? You with me, Greek letters? And so then you have a selection of different dishes and little spoons, and you can add condiments as you choose to your, however many tacos you ordered, 3 or 4 or more. And like condiments, like sometimes you get the pickled onions that are pink, or sometimes beans are another good one, like cooked brown beans. And hey, Dark Helmet, good to see you. And you get different, like sometimes a pineapple salsa with fresh pineapple made right there is delicious. Those are my favorites. You can get chili peppers added on. Sometimes fried onions. Occasionally you'll see mushrooms, different relishes, and then a whole variety of, if you go to the good ones, they've got 3 or 4 different levels of hot sauce, different colors. I presumed wrongly that the green sauces would be, like a more mild sauce, and the red would be hotter. And that was not the case most of the time. The green ones are the hotter ones, made from the habanero peppers. Dark Helmet, that's good. Excellent. The cat. Okay, that's what it is. All right, good to hear that. And yeah, fantastic, Stark of Iron. And Dark Helmet, yeah, you got it, man. I'll send it right now. So yeah, and not only tacos, but I mean, there are street vendors that just do fried chicken over like a rotisserie type grill, or maybe they fry it on a grill right in front of you. Well, I guess that'd be grilled chicken, or they fry it in a big flat top, and you can have fresh chicken done that way. And then they'll give you, they might have papas, which are basically homemade French fries. They're often pretty thick, and yeah, it's just fantastic. The selection you can get, and they'll put on onions sometimes with it, and beans, and then a chopped up salad, and not salad from a bag. Usually, it's salad that they chopped up and made in house from all the local fresh ingredients. So that's, I mean, that's really fantastic. I'm pretty happy with that. But the selection of street food you can get is impressive. I mean, the ice cream people that go around now, and they don't have refrigeration, but they have big blocks of ice that they jam in there, and then on the ice they'll set big tubs of ice cream, and then they'll stay frozen for a number of hours, and they'll just go around the neighborhood with the ice cream. And those street vendors are really fun, and they're cool. And now if you go to the town of Tequila, which is sort of northwest, mostly west, but northwest of Guadalajara, and definitely northwest of Mexico City, you go there, and I did see a couple of street vendors going around with tequila samples, which is not normal. But in the town of Tequila, it's kind of like Vegas there, and like on a smaller scale, or Niagara Falls, if you will, sort of almost like a theme park in and of itself. But it was, Tequila was pretty cool. I brought my brother and myself each back a bottle of locally produced tequila, so that was a lot of fun. Yeah, and let me just check here on something, and hopefully you can hear me and you can hear the fire, because the point of having this microphone plugged in is so that you can hear the fire. Okay. And here we go. Right there, Dark Helmet. Set you right there. Oh yeah, surely you can hear the fire there. Surely you can. Yeah, absolutely. And hi, Tony. Good to have you here.
Hello there.
Can you hear me over
Yes,
the
I can
fire?
hear you. Yeah, I can hear you over the fire.
I won't be able to hear your answer.
It's so bright out there. It looks so warm. I'm down here in this dank reactor chamber because, it's basically shot now. After last Friday, it overloaded for the last time. Last Friday killed it.
Man,
we're going to be building a new one.
Without your sacrifice, we would have been screwed. I have no doubt. Yeah. And hey, look who's also joined us. I want to say hello, Molecular Arts. I want to say hello to you, and I want to say hello, William Shakespeare. Excellent, and good to have you here. And PvP in the chat says, if you wish to send a link, I might pop on. Computer just started acting up again, so I will see quiets down. Okay, well, hopefully it quiets down for you, and let me know, PvP. And are you back on Twitter or X? Because I can send it to you. I'm not going to drop it in the chat.
He's part of a particular group chat. Oh. I know which one he's in.
Okay, that's also true.
He wants a link. I can hunt it down. And
well, if his computer gets sorted out, hopefully the issue, whatever issues he's having. And I want to say hello to our friend Joe Salazar. So, Tony, how's your... and thanks for being here, Joe Salazar. And I'm going to make you blue just because I've known you for quite a while. No pressure.
Hey, Joe Salazar, fellow Xanadoomer, man.
Mm-hmm. You're right. So there you go. You're a rent as well. We got to be up close to. Is there a tab or somewhere on from the back end, Tony, where you can go see how many
No,
moderators?
not in your community. Not in your community permissions. No. There's no way you could see a number. You'll have to manually sit down, and as annoying as this is, you're gonna have to count them.
Oh, that's not annoying.
Kind of like counting your pennies to get yourself an ice cream cone when the truck rolls down.
I'm just curious, like how is there a maximum limit? I guess we just keep going until there's a limit, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't ever have any trouble, so it's not like we're gonna have a moderator fight anything.
No, you are one of the many channels that I can say I can come safely on with zero harassment because everybody in this community respects each other, and for those that don't, well, they're shown the door. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, occasionally Lemon Pie starts a fight, but it's in good good humor,
yeah,
and appreciated. So, Tony, what's been going on? I've been. It was hard to get internet sometimes, and I was on the
what's been going on?
So what's been going on? Well, I've been down in Mexico for the last year, and I'd like to raise.
Yeah.
To Gorilla's random thoughts, I thought of you, my friend.
Is that a beer?
It is Gorilla Mode Thunder Punch Hazy IPA. Gorilla Mode, and it looks like he's got the. Is that not?
It kind of has that Mjolnir look to it.
Your shirt. So that's Thunder Punch Gorilla Mode Hazy IPA, and it is made by Phillips Brewery. Phillips Brewery is in Victoria, Vancouver Island. Matt Phillips started the company like with his credit cards. He's a few years older than me. I used to work in a shop, just in a prototyping shop just up the road from their original location. They don't make. I've never had a bad beer, and they make a variety. They make all kinds of different beers. I've never had a bad beer because they actually give a shit about what they're doing.
Right.
This guy's 9%, and it's a tall boy. So
I'll have a beer with you. I don't see why not. I just can't get. I have a lineup of shows tonight. I'm hanging out with Rob Wright, Heather L, and H of Pepsi One.
Ooh.
Here in about an hour. So I'll be leaving in about 40. So I'll be leaving in about 45 minutes for that. Then I'm going to be sending a couple of my characters over there to entertain with Theta of the Grid, also known as Theta Zord, for about 3 hours. And then I'm going to be on the Enzo cast, Late Night Dork Side, where we just talk about anything and everything that comes across our desk on the internet. So I have a full. My weekends are so full with streaming now. I like it though. I like staying busy. That's the point of it.
Well, William Shakespeare, do you mind reading what he says? Because it's directed at you.
I know. I already responded to him, but I will happily regale with a voice. Let's see here.
As you wish.
Not me. I'm now going to harass Tony for the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. Kermit.
Oh, man.
Yes. Speaking of Kermit's in the hospital. Last night on the Tuck and Roll show with Snowdub, somebody decided to flash their boobies, and Kermit went. No, it wasn't. It was a booby shot. It was Mike Crotch being indecent. Mike Crotch was being indecent, and now Kermit's in the hospital. I confronted Mike Crotch, and I confronted Mike in front of like 6 other puppets. I said, "You listen here. Kermit's one of my money makers. You're gonna have to shell it out. All right, you're gonna have to pay this medical bill."
Oh man.
And this was literally not even 24 hours after I lost my reactor. So as far as you asking me how my weekend's going, pretty terrible.
Terrible. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the 1,500 subscribers is great.
Man, that's oh man.
We're having a Stark party tomorrow. Are you down?
What's tomorrow? Monday?
Monday. We'll be starting at 7 my time and going to question marks.
I actually have an opportunity to do some work, and since I've been doing nothing but spending money in Mexico for the last month, I'm going to go work. But I definitely my best wishes for your start.
I'll be up late. It's like those midnight to midnight shows, right?
Okay. Yeah. Well, if it's late, then I'll be probably back by 8 p.m. or so Pacific time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be about the time when we start really getting rowdy.
All right. Well, hey, then count me in, man.
Start
Cheers to
Parties
that.
is one of the only shows that I allow myself to have more than a couple of beers or shots on, and you know this.
Yeah, I do know that, and that's a good rule to stick with, man.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, so what do you think about Mexico? Have you been there yourself? Have you set foot in
No,
Mexico?
I would like to go on some of these road trips that you take, man, or in this case, fly down there. But I would need to get a passport. I don't have a passport, and I know that there's like a long wait to get an international traveling passport. So
Indeed.
yeah,
You're right, and I'm I'm always leery about giving the government my information nowadays, depending on who's in government.
yeah. You can see why I'm not too thrilled about it myself.
That's the other thing, right? I mean, that never
Yeah.
occurred to me before we. I gave up my information freely before we were a communist country. No, I didn't know any better. But
So yeah, Kermit's doing well. He's stable, but his poor little amphibious heart, we had to resuscitate him like 3 or 4 times.
oh man,
It was ridiculous. I was like, dude, Alf is the burnt out celebrity. If I had to choose between Kermit being hospitalized or Alf going to rehab to get over his coke addiction, you'd know which one I'd choose.
I do. Yeah,
Yeah,
Alf.
yeah. Alf needs to go to rehab.
Yeah.
Kermit's a celebrity. Kermit's a star.
Really?
Alf was a star. Okay. He's living through that. What do you think? He's constantly like buying, 5 or 6 keys off of Mr. Miami himself, John. Mr. Rico. Racking it up on the start card because he's an ass.
Man, he's rolling his dice every time he does that.
No,
I want to say hello to Dark Helmet. Hi.
All rise in the presence of the ineffable Dark Helmet.
Cheers
Sorry,
to you.
sir. I'm doing my best. How
And
you doing, How you doing, my
I'm
Canadian
doing
communist friend?
fantastic. I'm doing fantastic. And PvP, hang on there. I'm
You gonna send him on Facebook?
I'm trying, but Facebook is a bitch to maneuver for me. I'm not on it very much. I'm not very good at maneuvering through it. But anyway, how are you, Dark Helmet? And have you ever set foot in Mexico that you're allowed to tell us?
Well, one time when I was younger, but we went to Tijuana for like 2 hours from California. That's it.
Oh,
I actually want to go back. I would like to go back, but I want to go with somebody that's been there many times, preferably you. If I can get some vacation time, me and you will go down there. We'll have a good old time.
love to.
And preferably somebody that knows what not to do, so I don't draw the attention of a cartel.
Well, you know what? I've been all over east, west, and south, and so far I haven't had any trouble. Because if you don't fuck around, you don't find out. And I do not want to.
You only have one life to live to fuck around, so fuck around a little.
Well, yeah, but not in Mexico. On certain towns. If you, like resort towns are fine, but you don't want to do that anywhere near the border, for example. It's just like Canada. You can get away with doing stuff here that you can't get away with in Toronto, for example. It's very different.
This is what I got.
Does anybody really care what Toronto thinks?
No.
Yeah, that's like Chicago or New York City, or we don't care.
No, we just.
The rest of the country's like.
Suzanne in the chat says, Tony, after last night, Alf can have my cat. Bad kitty behaviors lately. I will run it up the numbers. He's asleep right now. Guy wakes up later than I do, and I don't wake up till like 3.
My new kitty's fitting in well at the house.
Oh, you got a new cat?
Yeah, mine had a heart attack Monday morning.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was petting him, talking to him, and he just, boom, dropped over from a heart attack and tried resuscitation because I've learned how to do it.
Oh, shit.
Firehouse. Yeah, he had a heart attack.
Is he okay?
No, he's dead.
Oh.
He passed away Monday morning. I tried CPR because I've learned it at the firehouse because we have like dog and cat oxygen mask. They taught us CPR for him. I couldn't get him back. So I went Tuesday morning and adopted a new cat that looks like a tabby I used to have years ago that lived to 14. And I gave him an honorable name of Rascal after that tabby. And he's fitting in quite well. After a couple days,
I've
he's
always
already
been
in the
told that
living
it's
room.
bad luck to name a pet after a pet you've lost.
No, this works in his case.
Okay.
Because this cat has the.
So are we drinking to the theme of the gorilla? Is that what we're doing?
Yep.
To the gorilla. Cheers.
And to lost kitties.
To lost kitties. Yeah.
It can go two ways.
Yep. Tonight's beer of choice on my end is none other than the Great Yingling Traditional Lager, an Ohio-centric brewery.
Look at that.
One of the oldest breweries. There you go, sir. You're drinking it. You're drinking light.
Well, I'm trying to keep my weight down, so I don't care what anybody says. I lost 100 pounds in 23.
I've lost about 45.
Is that all in your Johnson?
Hey now, not in front of kids.
Canadians like, man, I'm jealous.
There's Canadian Spider-Man literally going, this is what happens when I get 2 Tonys on the panel. We're fucked.
Hey, now. Canadian, remember the last time you were drunk on a live feed? You were setting contraband fireworks off on a beach, and we were all waiting for you to blow something off.
Yeah, Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Pepperidge Farm remembers very well. Oh, I was waiting. I was like, oh, here it comes. It's going to happen. Yeah. The fireman in me was coming out. I'm like, oh
boy. Yeah, your instincts were
there we go. I had to change my background.
John the Beagle Dad says, Tony, 6 weeks from now, I may have to pick my new beagle. Oh, that's awesome. A new puppy for the house. I'm so sorry.
Hey, John, you want to send me a beagle? I'll give it a good home.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. I got to say, I have seen in Mexico, and we were talking about Mexico, a lot of Canadians acting just outright snobby.
Oh God!
And
for what?
They were, some of the Mexican entrepreneurs down there were even making T-shirts, basically making fun of America and promoting Canada. And some Canadians were buying them and wearing them around. It's like the same idea as booing your national anthem. That's just in poor taste. I mean, you can have your opinions, but just don't be snobby about it, And
we got a guy backstage, buddy.
Yeah, this is, now we're gonna let him on, but my comments I'm not talking about you. It's coincidental timing. Hello and welcome, PvP.
No eye contact.
How's it going?
It's going great. Yeah, back from Mexico.
Yeah.
Bonfire going, and the weather upon my return is not so bad, PvP, because you're not far from it.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it is out here, man. It's nice and bright. I actually got out and
I went out
some hedges earlier today.
Earlier today, I went out, and it's actually warm. It's like T-shirt weather out there. Like,
it is. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's 81 degrees here.
But it should be, because we're getting around that springtime thing, right? So,
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I remember in May, not too long ago, it hit 40 degrees Celsius. That's around 100 degrees Fahrenheit in mid-May. So we all took off to the lake for 2 weeks. It was crazy.
Yep.
Fun in the bun.
Oh, yeah, we do get over 100 here, usually, at least for a few weeks during the summer, if not a month or two. Sometimes we'll get a heat wave, right? So, yeah.
It's 27.2 degrees Celsius here for you uncouth Canadian heathens.
That is awesome.
That's pretty warm.
Oh, it's nice. I was driving. I left church this morning. I had the window down, and it wasn't even 81 then. It was like 62, but it was like that warm 60, sunny 62, and you're just like,
yeah,
that's nice. Yep.
Just kind of a nice, pleasant sort of temperature.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was.
Kermit's still in intensive care. But yes.
Oh no. Oh no! What happened?
Mike Roch decided to make out with a dude in a horse mask, and then he tried to sexually assault another character on the Tuck and Roll show last night. And poor Kermit's heart exploded like a teenager popping a zit. Yep.
Wow.
So we had to fly him to the hospital.
I was going to guess that maybe Miss Piggy sat on him too hard and crushed the poor.
See, that's the thing. Miss Piggy is MIA because, well, Miss Piggy was actually turned into as
Kermit likes eating pork, so
bacon sandwich.
There is that old Kermit pork joke, but I'm not even going to mention it.
Oh, I'll do it.
I'm just talking like Snow Double like it's real thing.
Suzanne
happening.
Is offering a sacrifice for Al.
Ooh,
a sacrifice.
A sacrifice, yes.
Sacrifice.
That's.
Don't make me. I'll wake him up. He'll be grumpy if I wake him up, though.
Yeah. So PvP, have you ever set foot in Mexico that you can remember or can talk about?
Nope. No, I never have. I've traveled as far east as Ontario in this country, and I have traveled down to as far south as Los Angeles. I have
Okay.
gone as far east as Washington D.C. I spent a few days there once because
I like.
I'll tell you why I flew over there because they had the Picasso exhibit of his early work of the blue and the rose period paintings, which are some of my favorites because they're absolutely gorgeous work. They had like about 100 of these things at the National Gallery.
Yep, I've
The
seen
National Gallery is amazing. It's free. You
Yes.
just walk in.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
I'm looking at some of the greatest art of the 20th century, and they have security there, but you could walk. I was
Yep.
walking right up to the painting, looking at the brush strokes, right? Because
Yeah, that exactly. And you can't do that if it's behind glass, like the Mona Lisa or something like
and
that.
I was like maybe a foot away from one of Picasso's masterpieces.
Yep.
I'm surprised they didn't say, "Hey, you can't breathe on that" or whatever, right? Because I was getting pretty close, you know. But my God, you know, you don't get an idea of what a painting is about when you're looking at a book.
That's true.
When you see
that
a
is
painting
so
up
true.
close, you could.
Yep.
And you know the thing is, Picasso's work; those paintings look very refined when you see them in a book or a magazine, right? But when you see them up close in the raw, you can see every stroke he put down with his brush, and it's actually quite raw and chaotic in some passages in those paintings, right?
Mhm.
Which is amazing because when you stand back 10 feet, it all pulls together, right?
Yep. Yeah,
And that's the
I
wonder
understand
about
exactly
painting,
what you're
you know?
talking about. Yeah.
Well, I took 4 years of
incredible.
art school and I majored in painting, right? So, you know, I know a little bit about the subject. And Picasso was always, you know, a personal hero as far as his painting went because he tried so many different styles, right? You know, went through the whole Cubist thing and, you know.
You did the same thing I did, PvP. You went to school taking, for me, it was cultural anthropology, taking something of great interest, of personal interest. And
true.
school was cheaper back then. But it really doesn't help your employment situation, does it?
No, I made enough money off of my art to stay poor. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I have sold work. I mean, I guess I can call myself professional because I did sell some paintings and stuff over the years.
By definition,
you know,
that does make you a professional.
Yeah. But I'm not going to get rich. Yeah, I realized that long ago, which is why I work in my regular job now. But
Dark Helmet, do you mind reading this from our friend Suzanne, talking about our cat?
Yeah, sure. All right. Eugene Bird, he has taken to zoomies in the middle of the night using my sleeping corpse as a springboard. Yeah, I've been there.
Imagine having about 6 or 7 doing that.
Oh my God. You're that middle-aged white woman, aren't you?
I miss my hive. I don't have my hive anymore. I haven't had my hive since the flood.
Yeah, I'm good with one.
Yep. Dark Helmet, I'm sorry for your loss, says Suzanne.
No, thank you. But luckily it was quick. It took 45 seconds and he was fast.
Wow.
Thankful. I'm grateful for that. As horrible as that sounds, it was fast.
John, that's exciting. Picking your new beagle. 6 weeks will go by quickly, especially this time of year, man. The time goes by so quickly.
The time goes by quickly every month now for me, Spidey.
I guess so.
The years get shorter and shorter the older you get. Believe me, it's true. It really is.
Oh, okay.
Snail Messiah. I've not seen the mighty snail in a hot minute. Good to see you, buddy.
And Tony, can you read this from our friend John the Beagle Dad, please?
Towards the great Suzanne. I'm not sure if I'm going to wait the next 3 litters before we shall see. Timing is everything.
Indeed. And hello, Snail Messiah. Great to see you, Snail. Fantastic to see you. And John the Beagle Dad, that is excellent. I watched Picasso and Brock. Amazingly bad art. Brock?
It's Brack, and no, it's not bad art.
Oh, is that an A? Not an O?
Yeah, it's Brack.
I've got the sunshine in my face.
Could be worse. It could be Brack, right? And then I'd be like,
I love Brack.
Do you guys got any astronaut stuff? You got any farmer stuff? You got a springboard? You got this? How do you plan on paying for all of this? With rocks? I hope you die at your wedding.
That is awesome. Oh, and PvP, Suzanne agrees with you.
Speaking of Space Ghost references, Brandon, the anime guy, is right now working on recording his lines for our first Space Ghost interview.
Ooh,
Space Ghost and Company. We are reproducing clips from the show. Brandon, the anime guy, is going to be in the TV. I got professional actors for Moltar and Zorak. I will be voicing Space Ghost. And we wrote the script. We're getting the lines recorded as we speak. Expect that video in about a week or two.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
Oh, really? That quickly?
Yeah. Greetings,
That's
citizen.
fantastic, man.
That's right. Yes. Hold on. I'll show you the backdrop that I'm using for whenever I'm like doing it live, but this is actually going to be edited. Hold on just a second. That. There we go.
Oh.
Why, hello there.
Haven't seen that face in a while.
That is awesome. That is fantastic. Oh, you like the fire, Suzanne? That's awesome.
Yeah,
as you can tell, we have a fire happening outside Ghost Planet right now. It's a bit larger than yours, though.
That's Blue Falcon, basically, more or less.
That's Space Ghost.
I mean, in the look of it, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And Dino Mutt. Oh, okay. Thank you, PvP, for putting the George's Brack in the chat. This is Brack, too, a different kind of Brack. Probably more fun.
I'll have you know that Brack is nowhere to be seen.
He's there somewhere. He's always around Space Ghost.
Just for you.
I'm not talking about Space Ghost. It's pretty great.
That's what I'm talking about. And another.
But yeah, that's just a little bit of what I got going on there. Oh, why, hello there.
Dark Helmet, you recognize this entertainer, PvP?
I can't think of the name, but I know who that is.
That's she was like, what was her catchphrase?
I remember what she did. I can't think of the name. But
I remember
know
she
who
would say something and shake her boobs around on TV shows, but oh God, I can't remember her name to save my life.
I'm bad for names. But
she was on the Love Boat all the time. That's Charo.
Yep, Charo. There it is.
That's
she had that thing where she would do that kind of thing, and I couldn't think of the name.
Yeah,
I'm bad. I'm awful with names,
or something like that. Yeah, that's.
I don't know. It's just like
Tony. Have you ever seen this woman before in your life?
I've watched only maybe 5 or 6 episodes of The Love Boat, and they were bleed over episodes on reruns. Obviously, you got to remember, as versed as I am in the old ways, I am still a butt of pop.
He's still a virgin.
In comparison to some, but no, I've never seen. I guess her name's Charo.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, but she looks hot, and I hope she can
actually
play with other things like that guitar.
She can play full on, legit. Yeah. She is a musician. She played with my heartstrings every time she came on the Love Boat, which was like 19 times in the late 70s, early 80s. PvP, yeah, fantastic. But
see, I would tune in. My favorite older programs that I I didn't grow up watching, but watched on rerun when I was younger. Love Boat wasn't one of them, unfortunately. But I watched Hogan's Heroes.
You watched Chips at least.
MASH.
Chips.
WKRP, Chips,
of course. Emergency.
Emergency was awesome.
Emergency was awesome.
And especially
TJ Hooker, So like I said, I've watched old stuff, but I just never have grown up with any of the old stuff. So
do you know a lot of fire and out of all fire and EMS show, Emergency was one of the most accurate because that's when EMS was just starting paramedic training.
Now
they actually went through paramedic training to do the show.
Gong Show, Knight Rider. Yeah. I was talking about like sitcoms that were lighthearted. If you wanted to get into like sci-fi and stuff, then
Airwolf was awesome.
Obviously.
The bartender. You're a bartender.
Airwolf was good at a helicopter porn, man. I'll tell you what.
Puerto Vallarta.
Airwolf was
That's
great,
Port
and
of
I love that had Ernest Borgnine in it.
It was great
Yeah.
till season 4.
Absolutely.
Then it went downhill.
Well,
He's a
some
really
shows
good
do that.
actor.
Yeah, Borgnine was a great actor in my
Oh,
opinion.
yeah, it was.
Like a legit actor. So this
I
is
like
Port
him.
Vallarta. That's the
Ooh.
connection between Charo is through the Love Boat. She was
Really?
often in it, and their port of call, which I believe is behind Isaac right there. I could be wrong, but it looks like Port Vallarta to me. But of course, a lot of tropical islands look the same. So there's the real Port Vallarta that I took myself. I did not take that picture. I did take this.
Aw.
Well, you gotta also look at the color. You also gotta look at the coloration of the lens because that was a different coloration of lens back then.
Ah,
I don't care. Look at that.
It's a very gradient Technicolor lens.
I'm not thinking about the color of the lens when I look at
I
Look
it.
at
wasn't
that
looking at the
drink.
lens either.
I would like to raise. This is probably. I'm sorry, Ted Danson, but Isaac is my bartender. Always has been.
Isaac is a good bartender. Of the episodes of Love Boat that I did watch, he was always pretty good.
Oh, he was rocking
Cheers.
that nice little fro.
Yeah,
Perfect
he had
fro.
the fro going
Sorry,
on.
Tom Cruise. I'm sorry, Ted Danson, but Isaac is my bartender. Always has been.
Well, he's the OG on that, so fair enough.
That's Puerto Vallarta. So there's the ocean
Is that
right
the
there.
port of
legit.
call?
So if you look left, you'll hit Hawaii.
Yeah.
And that church
Oh,
bell
look at that church.
Wow.
scared the shit out of me on the top terrace at midnight. Just started going.
Let me
off.
guess, the terrace is holding on by a wing and a prayer.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I behaved myself up there. Copperonis from the terrace.
I mean, you actually climbed up there?
Was that the police?
It was the roof of my hotel. I was supposed to be there.
Oh.
Oh, you were on the terrace of your roof, and one of the
yes.
Gotcha.
Okay.
one
On
of
a
the plates
Saturday night.
got loosened. Okay.
On a Saturday night, and then when it hit midnight, because turning into Sunday, the church bells go off and scared the bejesus out of us. We didn't
Well,
know these
It's
things.
a Catholic church, so not surprising.
Yeah.
And that's Puerto Vallarta. You can drive this around the streets of Puerto Vallarta, no problem.
Absolutely. I would do it. Yep.
That's a paint job. Wow. You got
That's
what?
a-
You got Ben Franklin on the side.
That's a
Franklin.
dune buggy. Dude, I like dune buggies, but
Trying
that's
to
fresh
recognize
looking.
the other people on there, but I can't quite figure them out.
I think it's money. It's supposed to be like money signs. Ben Franklin, $100 bill.
Oh yeah.
Almost
And
looks
you
like
can see the
Barnabas
money
Collins.
signs on there as well.
Cool tires.
Yeah,
Charo.
It's super beefy, but I'd
I'm
still
gonna
drive it.
check her out. I'm gonna check
I'd
her
still
out.
drive it.
That's right. PvP, do you mind reading this from our friend
Yes.
Jay?
Yes, that's exactly what her catchphrase was. Coochie, coochie.
It's
Say
true.
that with a more feminine voice, please. Redo that.
Come on, you got. Yeah, I was about to say
Okay.
we need another take, please.
I'm not probably good at that, but I'll give it a go. Coochie, coochie.
Coochie.
That was too
I'm
good.
sorry, I'm not good at doing feminine voices.
I don't know. My nipples are a little hard right now, but that's okay.
Okay. Tony, do you mind reading this from our
Oh my
friend?
God.
Uh-oh. Well, first and foremost, we need a drum roll for this because this is always a fight that requires. No, I got the drum roll right here.
Hey, don't ruin it for me, you insensitive bastard. East Coast wanker.
Hey, gang! Wish me luck. Send me prayers today, as I have decided to quit smoking cold turkey.
Everybody run.
Yes, stay away from Suzanne for the next week
Yeah.
or two.
No, at least 3 weeks.
Hello, Jedi Master. Welcome to you.
Speaking of Jedi Master, he debuted his puppet. We're gonna go over some practice though. We need to find a way. You were good for like your debut, but if you want to get in on the Cotton Council stuff in May, we're gonna have to like get you a puppet set up. I use a stool and prop my elbow up for whenever I put Alf on the air, and I just move the camera in front of him and I use virtual background, and that's how I'm able to like work with Alf. We need to find something that's comfortable for you because you obviously look like you are not comfortable throughout that entire debacle, even though you went the entire 2 hours of the show. We're gonna teach you some puppeteering tricks, just you and me. We're gonna try and figure something out this week.
Fantastic. What do you think PvP is Charo among? Suzanne wants to know, is Charo still amongst the living? I think she is. Is she not?
I actually have no idea.
I think she's still alive.
I'll see if I can find something here, but I don't know.
I believe she
If not, are they selling her implants on the auction?
that's
Gucci,
that
Gucci.
is Puerto Vallarta.
Uh,
That is one of the flood zones of Puerto Vallarta. So they have designed it in case the heavy rains. The hurricanes do hit Puerto Vallarta sometimes.
Yes, she is a Spanish-born actress, singer, and comedian. So it says she is. So that means she is still with us.
She's 74, according to Old Man Bird. He Googled it.
Wow. And she's still active. Years active from 63 to the present day. So wow.
Oh,
And you know what? They got
Good for her.
They got a 2013 photo.
I'm
of
a
her.
sucker for the fastback Phantom grill hot rods.
Oh, look at that
They-
front
they-
end.
Oh
gotta-
my
Oh.
God, that would be what I would drive to work.
I got a little chubby. How about you, Tony?
Oh man,
That's nice. I like that. And the simple fact, and another fact is, it's easy to work on.
yeah. Well,
No
it
sensors.
looks like it's got a
That's the
straight
thing.
6 in it based on that hood.
Oh
design.
yeah, I guarantee it's got a straight 6 in it.
Yep.
Honk, 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 honk.
Damn right.
Nice. Yeah.
Now,
I like
see,
how
that
they have
would
the
be-
overhang over the
See,
windshield.
that would be
too.
the kind of ride. See, this would be my perfect, like Saturday night on a date. I got Al Hibbler playing on the radio. I got my girl in the back seat, and I'm just singing along. When the lights go down low, baby.
Wait a minute,
no,
that's a bench seat in the front. Why is she in the back seat?
there
Shouldn't
will
she be in
be
the front
no
seat?
reason for leaving me still. And when the dancing is through, and folks will be few. I know I will still be here with you when the lights go down low.
Shooby-dooby-doo.
That's right. Dude, that would be my
I
ideal.
would drive that car. Oh,
Yeah, me too.
I
I would drive
love
it
that.
to work, man.
Put some white walls on it. I think it would look at some white walls with the color.
I've had Al Hibbler on the brain. I pulled down his record the other day and listened to it while I was making a deck last Tuesday to go to Cards Play. And these last couple of matinees that I've done, I've opened with Al Hibbler songs. It's like it's on the brain this week.
Hey, Tony.
Yes, sir.
Women, listen, we're men. Women are, we'll be sitting there laying in bed and the woman will be thinking, I bet she's thinking about another woman. No, we're thinking about cars like that. And
Yeah,
trucks.
we're thinking about
We're thinking about stuff like that.
That.
or
We're like,
thinking about getting another gun or thinking about
a dog, another
yeah.
dog. How many acres of land can we afford?
Yeah.
Do you guys know how? I didn't use any filters. This is natural from the camera.
Yeah.
How the fuck does that happen?
Very rarely, but you did line up your light just right for you to have some God rays going through you. Yeah.
Wow.
Now, is that a Jack Daniel Coke combo, or is that one of those Jack Daniel light cocktails? Because I've noticed the can, but I know that
yes. In the orange, there's a label and it says apple, and it is an apple, carbonated apple drink mixed
with a little bit of Jack whiskey.
Jack Daniels, correct. Yeah, that's delicious.
Now, see, I used to mix drinks with Jack all the time. I had a drink called the Forrest Gump, which was 1/3 Jack, 1/3 Dr. Pepper, and you topped it off with about 2 ounces of Monster Energy in a pint glass.
Ooh.
And you ran across the country after
yeah, well, the whole point is because Jack Daniels, because, Georgia, and Dr. Pepper, because I drank 13 Dr. Peppers. And Monster to keep you running. But it ended up being a hell of a good mixed drink, and that was one of the first drinks I started slinging at my Stark parties back at the old apartment. I miss being able to mix drinks. I was the entertainer and the bartender. Occasionally, I was the bouncer too.
You were also the fluffer.
I was only after hours. Stop telling them my secret.
If there's no eye contact, hey, this one.
Now, are they using a kiln here and letting them dry in the sun? It looks like they're using both because I see a chimney.
They could
coming
be
in.
doing a kiln and then making
Making
them
brick.
fresh and then letting them sit and
kiln's
dry.
over there. But yeah, that looks
Because
like
the
they're air
spacing on
drying.
the ground is.
Maybe they're using the kiln to dry them from the inside out, and then they take them out and just let the sun do the rest.
Cheaper to make them yourself if you have the material.
Well, that's exactly what they're doing. It looks like, yeah.
I respect that.
I've seen that before in hotter countries around the equator. Yeah, for sure. And some beautiful street art. I mean,
of course.
Now, there are tractors that drive up and down Puerto Vallarta in the back neighborhoods, and I waited for a while for a tractor to drive by during the afternoon one time just to get it with the tractor in the foreground and that painting in the background, but it didn't line up. But
hold on. Hey, Canadian, I think that's Uber ad for heavyset girls.
PvP, is that true?
I have no idea.
You're the only boomer, I think, amongst us.
So what was the question again?
See, what you need to do, Jedi Master's answering my suggestions. You need to get like a stool, and you need to sit in the floor. This is what I do. I get a cushion, I sit in the floor, I line my camera up to my puppet's face from the table. I have my elbow on a stool so it's comfortable. And then I just do my puppet work. Like if I got one of my arm bars in there to like move a hand, I just am reaching over to do it, and I operate the puppet with my dominant hand. But it's a little bit easier for me because I'm left-handed. So my left hand is actually up my puppet, not my right hand. A lot of puppeteers are right-handed, but like the great Jim Henson, I'm left-handed. And so it's a different experience, but we're gonna get together. We're gonna practice. We're gonna get you set up. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm actually left-handed as well, Tony.
Ooh, nice Volkswagen.
Still running. Still in use today.
Yep.
Every German person
you need to run your boom. What you do is you run your boom mic over your camera to where it's still close to your face. You can project your voice. That way you can still be heard while you're puppeteering.
Every elderly German person that saw the picture is just holding their right arm down. They're like, no, don't, no.
Well, these were made and manufactured in Mexico up until the year 2000, I'm told.
No, I think they did. Yeah, they had a plant there in Mexico to build them as well. Yeah.
They did because they bought the tooling from the Germans once they stopped producing them. So they bought the old dies and tooling from the Germans and continued. My understanding is until the year 2000 there in Mexico.
Was Mexico not the last place on Earth to actually produce the original Volkswagens like that?
I think they were.
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe so.
I think they were. Yeah.
What was the old VW Bug? What was it, like a 4-cylinder engine, or I think it was 2-cylinder, wasn't it?
No, it's a 4-banger, but it was.
But I remember it being rounded and it had a disc.
Axle.
Yeah, I remember it having a disc on the end of it, and it had the cylinders around it, if I remember correctly.
So, can you see that tree at the end of the street there with the lights on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you see the square that's lit up right in the center at the base?
Looks like a TV or something.
But I see it, yeah.
It is a TV. Well, it's sort of a TV. It's a shrine with the Virgin Mary in the middle of it.
That's what I was wondering. If it was the Virgin, I actually was thinking. I was like, is that the Virgin Mary? But I wasn't sure, so I didn't say nothing.
It's like a TV that doesn't move. It's like, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, gentlemen, I have about 8 minutes or so before I have to make a tree and get ready to talk some 70s music over there with Rob Wright and Heather L.
I love 70s music.
That sounds fun.
Agent Pepsi 1.
Very good.
I love 70s music.
Yeah.
The 70s are my favorite.
Thank you for helping me open up my throat hole a little bit to be able to talk and not.
You're welcome, there, big guy. $2 well spent.
Well, you were a flop.
$2 well spent.
Well, thank you for taking the time to join us today, Tony. And
Well,
what's your opinion on this vehicle here with the roof racks on it?
Looks like a Road Warrior version of the Volkswagen.
I like the beefy tires.
Yeah, the tires definitely looks like it's an off-roader.
Oh, yeah. It's for
They cut
sand.
the fenders to accommodate that, I believe, and as well as the front bumper.
Now, the thing I like about VWs is that's all trunk space. perfect to
True.
put in deployable weapons, like a fold out missile rack, or slide out machine gun 50 cal on either side, like those
Pop out your minigun
games,
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the only thing it's missing before it's ready to be a Road Warrior car. And it needs more spikes. It needs more spikes with heads on them. Yes.
South Americans are a creative group of people.
You gotta have heads on spikes. It's just the aesthetic.
And some LED lights up top. It would really help it out a bit. Need some floodlights up there. Well, you got to blind your enemy.
You do. And there's, their other mode of transportation is also pretty cool.
Guy on a horse. And a trampoline. And I think this is where they make bricks. That guy is cool.
That guy is cool.
Things you couldn't do in certain parts of the
US.
US.
It's a Mexican cyber truck, says Old Man Bird.
Yeah. I saw that trampoline. I'm like, is that near the wall? Or is that how they're getting over?
I didn't want to be rude and have the camera right in the guy's face, so I gave him some privacy. But now, did you notice the other vehicles there were modern as you'd find on the streets anywhere here in Canada? Mm-hmm. So they're not all the vehicles in Mexico are like this, just the cool ones are. But they had some absolutely very expensive vehicles there that just blew my mind. You get it runs the gamut from super expensive to I can't believe that's on the road. You see it all within a minute of each other.
That bug in that picture will probably stay on the road longer than half of those newer vehicles.
You're right.
The majority.
Yes, I would agree.
German engineering built to last.
Any older vehicle. You can even take American vehicles from the 50s, 60s, and even up till 70s. They'll still keep running compared to newer vehicles.
I ran into a guy that used to work at a Chrysler repair shop a couple of years ago, and I got a 93 Concorde I'm still driving, right? And the thing's, I could probably get that thing over 100 miles an hour, no problem, within a couple of seconds. The engine's still, it's a beast. And he told me, he said, this car is amazingly well built. They don't build cars like this anymore.
No.
They made these things to run forever, right? And it's 1993 and it still runs like a charm, right? So
well, there was a time where you were expected to buy a car and then keep it.
Yes.
Now everybody is just like, oh, now your car. Now they design cars to fail, just like they design your cell phone to fail. It's called planned obsolescence, which is a marketing ploy that these industries are using to ensure that you still are a repeat customer, even if the commodity that you're purchasing should last you a lifetime.
And over regulation with all these useless sensors.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so true.
If these sensors go out, your car won't start now.
Yep.
I got a 2013. I will not go anything newer than that because I had a sensor go out and it still started up. It was cheap enough to replace, luckily, because I went to junkyard and found one, thankfully, and it worked. But it still started. I won't go anything newer than that. Nope.
Now there's your road warrior.
There's your road warrior. Yep. That is
Beautiful.
kind of cool. I like that.
Look at the horn on that thing too.
But it needs some beefier tires on it, though. Come on.
They could have better
on the tires.
Yeah.
They did. Now, do you see?
It's time to kill them, lads! Yeah!
Do you see what's on the mirrors, the side mirrors?
Homer Simpson. Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the window. I apologize. I saw Homer Simpson there.
Those are golden spiders. That's the Spider-Man emblem in gold.
Nice.
Seriously?
I love the air horns on the hood.
And do you see by the license plate? Do you see how they've chained down the front hood so no one can open it?
Yes.
Yep.
So
that's probably where the compressor's at for the horns.
That's not uncommon to see in Mexico. The chain and the padlock on the front of those machines.
Well, he's probably got the compressor for the horns under there too. I'm sure.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
I like how the horns are lined up to like it resemble a shanty set of like blowers.
I would totally drive that. Except I would put train horns on there instead.
Yes. Yes.
That is still cool.
Dock
I like
horns.
Yeah. PvP, if you probably saw these driving around when you were a kid, like legit. Did you ever see this?
Well, I would have seen,
Well, it is almost Ratfink level.
I would have seen average looking Volkswagens, like factory Volkswagens, not anything this radical.
You got to remember, PvP, that was the 50s, so they didn't have all that.
It wasn't until
old.
the 70s when people started really like rat-figging and deucing up all these old cars and shit.
I was a kid in the 60s, and cars pretty much came stock off the assembly line back then, right?
And
people
had style.
People pretty much in the 60s and 70s drove them that way. But the thing is, the cars were so cool back then, you didn't need to modify them and jazz them up because they already look cool when they come out of the factory, right?
I tell you, one of the most unique back ends I've ever seen on an older car was on a Ford Galaxy where the taillights looked like fucking jet thrusters.
Yeah,
an old '59 Ford Galaxy, man. It's like looked like a fucking
look at old cars.
Those tail fins back then, the tail fins and all that shit.
Cars back in the day, the interiors had style, the exteriors had style. Now they all look the same.
Yep. They all look cookie. They're all cookie cutter now.
All right, guys. Thank you for the pregame. Cheers, Spidey.
Thanks for being here, man.
You bet. Now I'm gonna have to go to work.
Have a good one.
Thanks for
being
Tony.
Here so much. Brother.
I'll be on the internet all night, folks. You'll see me at Rob Wright's at
OnlyFans
6:30 Eastern Standard, and then I'll be sending some characters over there to Theta Zords at 10 p.m. Central, where I don't know which ones yet. I think he's got another horror movie picked out. You just have to see who I will be acting as when we get there, and then Late Night Dorkside from 12 p.m. Central till about 4 or 5 in the morning. So thank you for being my first stop. I'll have one more drink with you before I head because I sure as hell ain't going to be drinking over there, Rob Wright.
I'll have a Yingling with you, Tony.
Cheers. And I bet you they did, in all seriousness, Molecular Arts, there's a better than 50-50 chance that they literally... Cheers,
brother.
Cheers.
I am done. All right. You guys... Hey, and y'all are Stark Party Monday. I gotta get that stream set at some point in between.
I'll go some lubricant and condoms, and I'll join you.
You wear a KFC bucket?
No. Absolutely not. The answer is no. Nope. All right, I'm out. Love y'all.
All right. Thanks, Tony. Thanks for being
here. Brother.
At PvP, would you mind reading this from our friend Suzanne? And that's Canadian dollars, folks.
Okay. Suzanne said, laughing my fucking ass off. Tell me about it. It's going to cost me 4,000 Canadian dollars to get my Honda Pilot back from the shop. Ouch. That's ridiculous.
Wow.
Fuck. What? Okay, Suzanne, we need details. What exactly has gone wrong with your car to cost that kind of cash?
You should put an engine in a car for that.
Well, yeah. Like, God.
A couple $100 more, actually. You could put a brand new one in it, or at least a good quality rebuild with a good warranty.
Yeah. So what happened to your car, Suzanne? What's failed so badly that it's costing you $4,000? Because I mean, even if your transmission died, it shouldn't cost quite that much, should it? To fix or replace or whatever, like $4,000. I'm shocked. You should almost think about just getting a new car and just paying a couple $100 a month or whatever they charge you now, in payments every month. Like that might be less painful actually than coughing up $4,000 all in one go. That's like a cat coughing up a major fur ball, right? It ain't going to feel good.
You got that right.
Man, that sucks, Suzanne. I feel for you there, dear. You know.
Dark Helmet, do you mind reading this from our friend?
Oh yeah, I was reading it in my head in a Hispanic accent. I can't do it in real life, but Susan says Canadian Spider-Man in the Caribbean. We have Chicano cars with 12 horns on the dash and pom-pom balls hanging and engines chained.
Nice.
That was awful. I'm sorry.
It could have been. It could have been worse. It could have been.
I couldn't resist. Though.
If it had been really sexy, that would have been the worst outcome. Really.
If I'd have done it in a feminine voice, Canadian when I'm aroused and offended all at the same time. What's wrong?
No, we don't. No one. Yeah, no one here would appreciate that.
No.
What do you guys think about this little number? Because I quite liked it.
I like the two-tone actually.
Yeah,
the red and red.
Yeah, two-tone. I think that works pretty good actually.
Nice little steel rims. Simple.
Yeah, that was near the bus station there in Puerto Vallarta.
Steel rims are cheaper to replace than aluminum, so it's smart.
I quite liked it, and I don't know how. I don't know if it's from the 70s or produced in the 80s, but it's definitely an older car, and you know what? They're dependable, cool. And you can fix them. You can fix them with just. There's no specialty size bolts with specialty heads like the modern cars. You literally, if you have an adjustable thumb wrench, as the Newfoundlanders say, if you've got the adjustable thumb wrench and a screwdriver and some pliers, vice grips, you can pretty much fix anything on that. Isn't that right, PvP?
Well, you know, I'm not mechanically minded, but from what I've heard from people I know that I used to have a friend that actually worked in a garage fixing cars. So I know that back in the day in the 50s, 60s, probably even into the 70s, you know, you could like get a wrench and a screwdriver and probably fix a lot of the shit that went wrong on your car right back in those days. Where now it's all computerized, you know, all kinds of crap that's designed to die, and make you have to spend more money.
Yeah, you need a torque wrench, an engine jack, some chains just to change.
Oh yeah, yeah, those good old torque wrenches. Yeah, those are fun. Oh yeah, even finding one could be a pain in the ass.
The only thing I would do with that, if that were my vehicle, me personally, because depending on the age, it might have a generator, not an alternator, depending on age. I would put LED headlights and tail lights. I would change all the lights out to LED. That'd be the only change I'd make.
Oh, I don't like those LED. Those LED lights blind me. They're so bright.
Yeah, because people don't know how to lower them properly. I put them in my vehicle, and they aim at the ground properly. I've never had a complaint.
They should make it a regulation, though, that people have to adjust them if they want to be on the road.
They're morons if they don't do it. I did that. I knew better. I adjusted them.
Every time I see LED lights, I have to turn my head to the side of the road to get by them. Because
the problem is, if it's a pickup truck, even with LEDs on, even like a truck that comes with them, they're still bright.
They should actually factory make them at a lower setting. Like that would solve the problem, right? Because
it would.
They are so blinding. I mean, you could probably, you could go drive down to the ocean side, park on the beach, put your LEDs on, and ships 100 miles out could probably navigate.
You're not joking.
Why are all these vessels coming at us?
You're not joking. Well, speaking of this is the Pacific Ocean, and that is Puerto Vallarta.
Nice.
When the airplane takes off, and you can see the airstrip. Can you see right in the foreground there?
Yeah, I see it.
It is a horizontally aimed airstrip, and you take off over the ocean, and then you turn around 365 degrees so that everyone gets a view of Puerto Vallarta from the air. Nice. And it's incredible.
I like that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, looks nice.
Yeah. I thought so.
By the way, have you guys ever ridden in a vintage Volkswagen?
Yes, I have actually.
I believe I have. Yes.
I gotta say, it wasn't my favorite. As far as comfort goes, it wasn't my favorite ride.
Oh, they're rough.
Back in the late 80s at art school, I had a buddy that had an old clunky Volkswagen, right? Probably a 60s version or something, maybe even, I'm guessing. And we went, he was a good buddy, and I lived in the town where my school was, and he drove me back to my hometown for the weekend so we could party. and it's like a 30-mile drive, right, between Kelowna and Vernon. You know what I'm talking about, right, Spidey?
Dude, yeah, you're coming out my way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a 45-minute drive, and oh my God, it was so rough. It was like bang, bang, bang. Every rough spot in the road, your ass was just, there's no shocks in the damn thing, basically.
It's like riding in a military vehicle.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Volkswagen thing?
Yes, they're in Mexico. Yes, I have.
My buddy had one. It was built in the 50s. It was original from the 50s. He also had a 50s built Volkswagen Beetle. Now, I rode in it before he had the suspension upgraded. Dude, that was an awful ride. It was just, I was like, oh, this is cool. Bam, oh, my back, my spine, my anus kind of thing. He had to end up having the suspension upgraded on both of them. He had it customized. So much smoother. It was so much better.
They must have improved the suspension, I'm guessing, by
he had a customized upgrade for that because they were older vehicles.
Yeah.
But they upgraded them later, Yeah,
okay, makes sense. Yeah.
I love the Volkswagen thing. You just take the windshield and just drop it completely down on the hood and just drive with nothing in front of you. Except birds smacking in your face.
You're right. Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I managed to find one, and let me pull it up here for you.
Okay.
Here it's right here.
You guys know what some of those Volkswagens? Oh my God! Okay, I forget what that's called.
The thing.
That was like one of the earlier generations of the thing, and then they kind of upgraded, I think, like 60s and 70s. They made different versions, but he had one of those, exactly. He actually had two of those. He had one on that, like the original version, and I think maybe one from the 60s or 70s.
It was actually called the Thing? Gosh.
Yeah, it's Volkswagen Thing. Yep.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
You could literally flip the windshield wiper sprayers for the liquid to the side, and we did that once, and he sprayed it and sprayed some guy in his car, and he got out and punched him in the face. Oh, it was a good time nonetheless.
It's a radically weird looking vehicle, though, isn't it? It's kind of out there. Like,
I know. Every time you ride in it, you just have to hold your right arm down. You're like, no.
But I've heard about what some of those old, like those Volkswagen vans, like some of those vans are going for major dollars now, right?
Oh
yeah.
We got a hippie store up here in St. Charles, Missouri. They run they do like a little hippie store. They have like people can do like local art and stuff, and they sell it there. Very nice guy. He's actually a really genuinely cool dude.
Cool.
No, he has an old Volkswagen van. I didn't ask him how old it was, but I can tell this thing was from probably several decades old. It's in top-notch condition. This guy maintains it just beautifully. Wow. But I can tell when he starts it.
I have not, Snail Messiah. Have either of you, as Snail Messiah asked, have either of you seen the new electric VW cars?
I didn't even know VW was still making cars.
No, I'm heterosexual, so no, I haven't seen it.
I would never buy an electric car, though. I've heard too much negative problems with them.
I'm a fireman. Trust me, I know.
You know.
Yes, firemen know all about it. They probably wish we don't buy them.
But I've heard if they do break down, they cost an arm and a leg to get repaired.
It can cost up to 20 to 30 grand to change the battery packs.
That car looks like something out of the Rat Patrol.
That TV is for rich people.
I would still drive that over new vehicles. Some of these new vehicles.
Oh hell yeah! That's why I'm going to drive my Concorde till it dies. I'm basically because I've had it. I actually inherited it from an aunt that passed away about 12 years ago. She left it in her will to me. That was the one cool thing she left me. She divided everything among all the family, right? And I got the car. And in 12 years, I think I've maybe spent like $3,000 in all that time on repairs. I remember I had to get a starter replaced. I had to get the headlight switch replaced when it broke. Minor shit like that, right? But in like 12 years, spending $3,000 to keep a car on the road, that's not bad, is it?
No, that's pretty damn good.
So
it's like I had a 79 Ford F-150 out of the factory, had the factory lift kit on it. Now there was a problem with the factory lift kit, the nipple on one side when you have the you have the the little nipple on the block for the rear axle. It just flattened out. So every once in a while driving, you feel that back end move. But tell you what, it had 351 modified. Man, that was a running truck. It just kept going and going and going and going. And that was at the time when gas was like 90 cents at the time. And then when it hit like $1.20, I'm like, it's expensive. I can't afford it anymore. I'm like, oh, I look back now. I'm like, I'm a moron.
Yeah, now gas is like, I actually saw gas here for $1.59 the other day, Spidey, which I couldn't believe it. I
Is that
should have
Canadian
probably,
or US?
yeah, Canadian. I should have probably gassed up because I haven't seen it that cheap in like months, right?
I saw it here at 280 US dollars a gallon.
It's coming down now because demand is down because no one can afford to go anywhere. So I think it's coming down.
I just drive local.
Canada and the US gets a pipeline back open after they repair it after the rupture recently.
Yep.
You know, because like I say, when Trump dropped the tariffs on everybody but China, that dropped tariffs on China or Canada. I mean, you know, so that's good for Canada.
Didn't he do 125% tariffs on China?
It's up to 145%. I heard.
Yes, that's right.
I can understand with China because China's flooding the whole world with cheap garbage.
It is.
They have been for like 30 years now.
Yeah, well, 20 years probably.
You know, if something goes wrong and we can't, for whatever reason, we can't bring stuff over from China. You saw what happened during the lockdowns. Like we can't produce anything ourselves. So these are the cars that that Volkswagen is Snell Messiah was saying that Volkswagen are producing. These are the new electric cars. They do look cool. I will give you that. And that yellow van looks pretty cool. I'll give you that.
I like the blue one. The blue one works for me.
I don't know.
Here's my problem with electrical vehicles. One, the cost of having to replace the batteries. Two, they don't last well in winter. That's any battery in general. And it's recharging time. Yeah. Now, if we came up with like a solid state battery that wouldn't be affected by cold, that would have a long lasting charge time, longer charge time. You could charge them quickly.
You mean,
I would be for it then. I'd be like, cool, let's do it.
Charging, yes.
And longer lasting and inexpensive to replace it because all batteries are going to have a shelf life. It is what it is.
How are you making the electricity is the other question.
Well, that's the thing.
Nuclear power would be good.
They always say it's better for the environment. It's like, no, fuck. Electricity has a cost to produce as well as anything else.
Lithium's bad for the environment.
Right? You know. Mm-hmm. So, and the thing is, you know, Canadian winters, we average between -20 to -40 Celsius degrees, right? You know, depending on what part of the country you're living in. True. I've heard electric car batteries do not do well in cold weather like that.
No, they don't.
So why would anybody living in this country ever want to invest their hard-earned money in that? Like, it makes zero sense. And yet the Liberal government, God, I hope we get them out this month in the election. They're going to mandate that you have to like go electric like within the next 20 years. It's madness.
When it comes to winter in Canada, if that happens, you guys in the winter are going to be calling Uber.
Yeah.
Probably. Or American drivers. Hey, can you bring your gasoline powered vehicle up here and please take me to work?
They haven't allowed us to get Uber here yet.
Wow.
They haven't even. It's not even legal here yet.
The last Uber I took my mom to the UFL game in St. Louis City. This guy drove 80 miles an hour there, and I'll tell you what, this was the safest 80 miles an hour I've ever seen. He was very polite, very friendly. He's like, "How fast do you want to get there?" I'm like, "I want to be alive when I get there." He's like, "I got you." We got there at 80 miles an hour. I tipped that guy $30. He looked at me and went, "Hit me up when you're ready to go. I got you, brother." And he picked us right up after the game and took us home and didn't even ask for a tip. Great. Oh, just awesome. You know, I think solid state batteries are going to be the way to go because I think they'll be less affected by cold. I'm not saying they won't be, but I think they'll be less affected by cold weather.
But still, there's no way I'd even think about buying an electric car.
No, not until they can improve the battery technology. If they can improve the range, cold temperature issues, charging times. Like if I can charge it in the same time I can fill a gasoline vehicle, and they're inexpensive to replace, I'll buy one. Then I'll be good with it. Then
that's the thing. It takes me 5 minutes to fill my tank at the gas station, right?
10 minutes if you're an empty, at the worst case.
Oh, even on empty, like I think.
Well, if you have a large truck,
I can put about $60 of fuel in my tank, and it's full, right? So
you figure what, probably 7 minutes realistically if you have a large tank.
I could usually fill it in 5 minutes, probably.
Yeah, if they can do that, and they in the cold, I get cold's going to affect any battery, but if they can minimize it to where it doesn't affect it that much, and they're inexpensive to replace and quick to charge, and you have, if I want a battery operated vehicle, I'm sorry, I want 500 miles range minimum.
Yeah.
If they give me that, even on cold weather, I'll buy one.
Yeah. Thing is too, like I don't know, I haven't counted how many gas stations we got in the city. Kelowna is a pretty good sized town. We got about 170,000 people at least. And it's a boom town because they're throwing up condos and apartments everywhere. Every week I drive down some road and there's a new building going up, right? It's just nuts here. So there is people moving in. It's a growing city. So I never counted the number of gas stations, but I figure it's got to be like at least 15 spread around the city. And as far as electric charging stations go, I think I've maybe seen like a dozen in total spread around a couple of spots in the city. So it's not really practical, right, at this point.
And that's well, even the charging stations, if you look at most of them, they have diesel powered generators to power them.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's the technology that just doesn't quite make sense.
It's not there yet. It's not there yet.
Yep. That's why I'm never an early adopter. I think being an early adopter is a mistake.
Yep.
Hello, Snorty.
Hey, Snorty, I haven't seen you in ages there, Bear.
Snort, how you doing?
Are you eating any good seals lately there, Snorty?
Nemesis, good to see you as well.
Hey, Nemesis, always good to see you, buddy.
And I try. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, depending on the wood and the amount of beers consumed. Yeah. But
you are very talented at chopping wood, I gotta say.
I can handle the wood very well.
Experience, no doubt. Okay. Wow, do you mind reading this, Dark Helmet? This is pretty cool.
Yep, from Snail Messiah at Canadian Spider-Man. DTU, Denmark's Technological University, just filed a patent on a new battery made from same material rocks are made of. Basically, 90% of Earth's surface is made of it. Interesting. Wow. Interesting.
So, can we turn the Earth into a giant battery?
I think the Earth used to be a giant battery in the past, in the far distant past.
Might have been.
The pyramids. I'm sorry, I had to clear my throat out there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, thank you for that. So I
think we all can agree we're going to eventually have to go away from petroleum products. It's going to happen. We're going to have to at some point.
Eventually, but not yet.
Well, the thing is, I can see if there was danger of running out in the next 50 years, we'd have to get serious about replacing it with something.
No, we probably have another couple hundred years of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. At least a century, if not two, right? Because like
Russia, the U.S. still, the U.S. still has massive reserves. Russia still has reserves,
and Alberta's got like the third largest oil reserve in the world. Like we have tons of oil in Alberta here. Next door to where
the U.S., Canada, and Mexico could say screw the rest of the world. We would have enough oil, and while everybody else ran out, we all just be driving around just fine.
That's the thing. If we had a government with brains, like we hope to get in a few weeks, right, Spidey? They'll open we want to open the Northern Gateway Pipeline, the Energy East Pipeline. Then we'll have Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, sending our shipments of oil by tanker overseas to China, overseas to Europe, making world price profits instead of because we do give a discount to our U.S. friends at this point, right? Because we don't have a choice, right? We don't have an option, right?
That's
thanks
right.
to the damn liberals.
Plus, we like them. Cheers
some of them. Some of y'all.
we have been good neighbors for
Well,
many years, right?
No,
So
I'm not saying Canadian people are bad neighbors. It's the government
it's the
that's been
government.
bad
Well,
neighbors.
we hate our government too.
more than you do.
Oh, you won't believe the amount of hate I've developed over the last couple of years for our current
Because
government.
they've demonstrated. They started hating us first.
Well, the truckers was the start for me.
Your government's becoming really extremely pro CCP.
They're
Yeah.
becoming dictators, basically.
Yeah.
They become dictators.
Move to Alberta. Alberta wants it's talked about becoming either a U.S. state or at least becoming a U.S. territory. Go ahead and move there.
No, I still
We'll
I
let
still
them become
want,
that.
I'd still rather save my country and keep it.
Well, no, you can keep
it
your
whole.
flag and your insurance.
No, but
and all
I
that.
still want Canada to survive as it is.
I hope that can happen. Don't get me
And
wrong.
I
I'm
think
an American. I'm
we
gonna give you
will.
crap about that, but I do genuinely hope Canada can save itself.
Well, you wouldn't
But
want
you all have to do it. It's up to the people.
Well,
not
yeah,
America.
but I mean, I'm sure Americans wouldn't want their country to break into pieces either,
No,
right?
of
I mean,
course not.
Nobody
Yeah,
does.
we
but-
talk trash, but no, we don't want that.
What country in history has their map unchanged for more than 300 years?
Not
no
most.
country.
No.
No country.
Not even
So-
Russia.
The idea of
China
any country,
hasn't.
No, it's history shows there's never been a country that the map has stayed the same for 300 years. Not going to happen.
Well, the thing is,
Our
people-
map will change.
people think of like a place like Italy as an ancient country, right? But it's not,
No.
No,
because
it's
it
not.
used to be a collection of city-states constantly warring against each
That's
other,
right.
and we only
Rome.
got modern
Yeah.
Italy as a country like in the last 100 years or something, like 100 and something. It hasn't been long, right?
Same with
You know?
China. China's only been a country in its current format for about 72 years or something like that.
You look
Yeah.
at Rome; it was a lot of city states as well back in the day during the Roman Empire. It was city states.
Yeah.
What happened to Sparta? Where's Sparta now? Can I go visit
Well,
Sparta?
that's in
They
Greece,
stopped
right?
kicking people off cliffs, bastards.
But that's in Greece, right? The Spartans.
But is it still? Where's Greek letters when you need them? Is Sparta still a? I don't believe
Greece,
it still exists
mostly.
as a city.
I think Greece is like all the. I think all the city states of Greece are unified for a long time now. Have they not been? I mean, I don't know for sure, but I think they probably have been.
I think we could all. I got a question for you, Tim.
Go Sparta. Yeah.
I think it would be great if, like, the whole world could. Let's say, take example for. I'm going to be a nerd on this. Please forgive me for this.
we love nerds.
Babylon
Here.
5.
We are nerds.
No, Babylon 5. You still had nation states, but they all worked together. They were unified. I think we could get to that point eventually, and I would like to see that where you still had the Russian Federation. You had what North America was. They never mentioned it for some reason. No sci-fi ever mentioned America, Canada. It's just North America, whatever. But I would love to see it if we could still have our nation states, but still work together peacefully, cooperatively.
Yes.
For benefit of all humanity, space travel, because it's going to benefit all of us.
But the thing is, Dark Helmet, wasn't that what the United
Exactly.
Nations was supposed to be?
Originally, but now they're just full of
Supposed to.
power-hungry
But
dumbasses.
now they're just corrupt as hell, right?
yeah,
Like
they are.
totally
Absolutely. UN's is absolutely corrupt. NATO's corrupt now.
I just see I'd be happy if the UN just disbanded and ceased to
No,
exist.
I'm 100% agreement. You look
You
at
know?
like NATO, they want to go to war with Russia. I'm not saying Russia was right for invading Ukraine. Is Ukraine corrupt? Yes. Is Russia
Yes,
corrupt?
yes.
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 Do we need to
Ukraine
be
is not a
involved in
democracy.
it? No. We're on the
And-
other side of the globe. It's not our fight. Let Europe
No,
deal with it.
I have very mixed feelings about the Ukraine-Russian situation because I see that Ukraine, I think, is very corrupt because they're taking millions and hundreds of millions and hundreds of millions from all our countries.
billions.
Even Canada's been sending them
Yep.
money, right, for years,
And
They
they
send
suspended their
$3 or $4.
and they're just sucking our money out of us from people here. There's homeless
Ukraine
people here
bought
that
a
need that
lithium
money,
mine in Africa
right?
during the war. How do you
Yeah,
afford a
really.
lithium mine in Africa?
Wow.
But it's like if there's no desire to end the war from the leader of Ukraine,
Yep.
Or
why
Russia?
should we keep financing
Or
him?
Russia.
Like, right? And Russia.
Exactly.
Just pull the money out and say, hey, you two fight it out. That's your problem, not the rest of ours. We're going to
I
move
want
on.
to see
The
the
rest of the
leaders
world's
go
going to
in
move
the
on.
octagon. Let's put the
You know,
leaders
you
in
know
the
what,
octagon.
you know what I want to see. I want to see the leader of the Ukraine and Putin get in the ring, put on the gloves.
That's
Trump
right.
gets in as the referee. He goes,
Yep.
ding dong, go round one, punch, punch, punch,
That's
punch,
it.
punch. That'd
Two
be
unconscious,
fabulous, right?
Let them duke it
Two
out. Whoever
unconscious.
wins, it's over. Period.
And do a live stream
Yes.
broadcast like on YouTube.
Whole
That's
world
it.
can see it free of charge.
It'd be wonderful.
it.
Absolutely.
So, what do you guys think about this spaceship?
I love the ambassador class. One of my favorite ships. I use it in Star Trek Online all the time. One of my favorite ships.
I'm
Yep.
sorry.
It looks bulky. It looks like it's ready to fight, but it looks like it's ready to do ambassadorial duties.
Doodles.
Doodles, yeah.
Ambassador.
Hey, whatever floats your boat. Sorry, I've been drinking a little bit. Give me
You
a
know, they're not.
Cheers
well,
to
I
that.
don't-
9% gorilla mode. Where's Gorilla's random?
That does look
9%
like
gorilla
I gotta say,
semen?
that looks exactly like gorilla.
Yeah, I think so too. Gorilla's random thoughts. I don't know where you are, buddy, but I bought this and because of you. I thought of this. This is 9%. Phillips Brewing
That's
Company.
great.
Gorilla
You know what
mode. Thunder Punch.
Thunder
hazy
Punch.
IPA.
Jesus. I love craft beer. BC's got
Shout out to Phillips. If you want to sponsor me, Phillips, you don't make a bad beer. Matt Phillips, I met you personally when I used to work for Prototype Equipment Design.
BC does have a fabulous craft beer industry. Like there's hundreds of different brands of craft beer here, right? Like
Ooh,
crazy.
PvP, do you mind reading this, please?
John the Beagle Dad said, "Let's be real, guys. Ukraine does not have a
Chance.
chance."
No, they don't. They don't.
They don't have it.
I just don't know why
No.
they just don't settle this thing. Like it's so stupid.
I
It's
don't
a
blame their
waste of money, resources, human
Because
lives.
and manpower.
Well, all the
It's
all the
money
people
laundering.
on both sides that have died. It's disgusting, really.
Don't get me wrong. Ukraine soldiers have been brave. They have fought bravely. They have fought hard. I will not knock them at any point in level. They have fought very
Correct.
bravely.
Yes.
But it's a government needs to know when, hey, we're losing this fight. Let's stop. Ukraine is going to lose the Donbass. They're going to lose it, period. They're not getting that back.
They
But
used
they
to
want it
send
back.
missiles into it. They used to send missiles into that part, and the World Bank said, "You keep doing that, and you're not going to get any more money." So that's how much they cared about the Donbass.
Well,
region.
to be fair, the Ukraine is screwed with Russia for several decades. They have. If you
by
really
putting
look
in
into history
NATO-
and the Donbass recognizes more as Russian than they do Ukraine.
exactly.
Just let them have that, or make the Donbass an autonomous region. Russia doesn't control it. Ukraine doesn't control it. That's a
Perfect.
little neutral zone.
Perfect. We've just solved it.
There we go.
PvP, do you mind reading this from our friend Suzanne, who's awesome?
Susan said Sparta is now in a small town called Leonidas in Mistras, Greece. I did not know that.
I want to go there and suddenly kick somebody into a giant pit.
But isn't that Leonidas? Or Leonidas?
Oh, I don't know.
Leonidas.
Is that the guy
Leonidas?
That's Leonidas.
that kicked the guy into the pit?
Yeah.
Yeah,
King
okay.
Leonidas. Yeah.
Okay. That was
Yeah,
such a good movie.
Takes the American to figure it out.
I'm not
You're
much.
welcome,
I'm
gentlemen.
not much on my Greek.
You're welcome.
Oh,
The U.S. has just stepped in again.
so it does still exist. So why
Let's
wouldn't
be
they
honest.
open like a Sparta training camp?
Wouldn't Sparta be like? Aren't they like provinces now within Greece itself? Like,
Pretty much, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wouldn't they do well to open up a training camp for fatties to come and do Sparta training?
I would
For-
totally go
for-
there. I'm not a fatty anymore, but I'd still go there and do it.
for fans of the movie to just go there and watch the film. and
That's
then
what
go,
I.
No, you go there, but you
Right.
have to go for 3 months. You have to exercise. You can watch the movie. You'll get amazing natural food, but you'll work out. I would go.
And PvP, can you read this from our friend?
his
Thank you.
censors, his thoughts are censored too. Yes.
Gorilla's random thoughts. We love you, buddy. We're not making fun of you. We wish you were here.
Wherever.
Hey, I just got a quick question,
And
Spike.
then we'll make fun of you. Once you get here, then we'll make fun of you.
Have you
Exactly.
got your voter's registration card yet?
I don't need to. I just walk over with my ID and I'm golden. It's
Yeah, but they always, I've been voting since the 70s. They always send a voter's registration card with all the package in the mail.
oh yeah,
And we're down to like 2 weeks now, right? And I'm getting kind of really pissed off and annoyed because I should have got it. I looked on their website last night. It said you should have received it by the 11th. And okay, that's Friday, right? That's Friday. And I'm calling their phone number tomorrow, and I'm gonna give Tara. I'm gonna chew out a new one for them, because I'm gonna say, hey, where's my voter registration? I need to vote. I have to vote in this election. If I go to the voters, well, I don't even know where to go to vote. Where do I go? I haven't got a card. Well, the card always tells you the address, right?
We've only got one place here, and
Yeah,
the people working there all know me. So
I usually have like 4 different places I can go here in Kelowna, right?
okay, right.
So I got to know, where do I go? I'm getting very. I'm starting to think. I hate to say it, but is Elections Canada being influenced by the corrupt liberals that don't want us to vote?
Probably, yes.
I'm starting to wonder. I just hate to say that, but I'm starting to wonder.
Well,
I'm really pissed off. So.
Yeah, I need to see proof of that.
I'm calling them tomorrow, and I'm just going to say, look, I want my voter's registration card mailed right yesterday, right? Like,
to me in person. Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think of this?
Herbie the love bug.
It's the love bug. Yeah,
love bug.
Now, what number should be on there? Do you remember?
53.
Oh, no, I haven't seen the movie in too long.
That's right. Dark Helmet, do you mind reading this from our friend Snail Messiah?
Absolutely. Ukraine was promised by, amongst others, USA and Russia, that they'd protect them if they give up their atomic weapons, which they should, if they have any. So yes, Ukraine is an American problem. He's not wrong. U.S. broke another treaty broken. Yes and no. I think it was a treaty that was not approved. That should not have happened. But I understand the sentiment of the message. I can't argue with it.
Wasn't Russia also had an agreement where Ukraine would not join NATO?
Yes.
And I think that's what started this war. Is
they wanted to join NATO.
And that would literally be like putting Russian missiles on Cuban soil. And we all remember how the U.S. objected to that.
If Ukraine joins NATO, that'd be World War III.
You're putting NATO right at Russia's front door. Like, that's offense. NATO would be the offensive force in that. What are you doing?
And that's where I think Trump was smart, because he did say that they would not allow Ukraine to join NATO, and I think that was very smart, because that gave Russia an out.
Neutral territory. Territory.
And it should be neutral. You look at who's north of Ukraine. It's I'm sorry, I'm brain dead right now. It's
Russia,
I'm sorry.
And Turkey.
No, Turkey's way south of that.
No.
Give me a second. Sorry, I'm brain dead right now, but I'm gonna look it up. So I'm not.
Yes, he's weighing these.
I've been drinking. Leave me alone.
Annual.
But I'm honest enough to admit that.
That's awesome. And you have to eat what the Spartans ate. Yes. So at the Sparta camp in Leonidas, hold an annual well kicking contest, and that's not where you kick the well, PvP. That's where you kick people.
Belarus.
Well.
Belarus is north of Ukraine, and they're not a part of NATO. Ukraine is too corrupt. Sorry, Ukraine's just simple fact is Ukraine has too much corruption to become a part of NATO, let alone if they become a part of NATO. Russia's going to see that as a threat. Ukraine should not be a part of NATO, period.
I feel bad for the people of Ukraine.
No, I feel sorry for the people. I have no problem with them. I think there are a lot of good Ukrainians. I've actually met some in my last job. They were the nicest people on earth.
Yes.
But they left Ukraine when the war started. And I met plenty of them. They're like, we don't trust Zelensky. And they told me that. They're like, yeah, we don't like Zelensky. They're like, we don't like Russia, but we don't like Zelensky either. I was like, wow.
Well, my first girlfriend was of Ukrainian descent, and she was a honey, and we had good times. I'll tell you. And Ukrainian women can be very, very sweet. I'll tell you that right now. She was.
I love a
Yeah.
good traditional woman.
I miss her. I miss her. It's a long time ago.
That's it. They do tend to be traditional. Well, like
that was
very,
me,
very,
but
very
I'm a
sweet.
man now. Would you like to be traditional again?
But you know what bugs me about the current state of the UN is I remember when, like, at least the Canadian UN forces were peacekeepers always, right? You know, we'd go into a war zone. Well, you know, the whole, what is it, Cyprus, I believe, you had the Turks and the Greeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
They each had half the island, and we had our Canadian UN peacekeeper, the blue helmets, in between in the buffer zone, and kept the peace for decades. And I don't know, they might even still be there for all I know. But for decades and decades, they prevented, you know, these two factions from going in and slaughtering each other, right? So, you know, it's like, you know, we used to have a functional purpose that was
neutral.
Positive.
Yes.
And then somehow, well, the last one, you know, I just want to mention quickly, Spy, the last one, I remember the Rwandan slaughter. Remember that?
Oh, yes. Yes,
in Africa. And it was, I think, Hillier was the general running the Blue Helmet Canadian force there. And he was badly, you know, outgunned by the rebels that took over the country after the president's plane was shot down, and then all hell broke loose between the Tutsis and the Hutus, I think it was, if I remember my history. And General Hillier was commanding the Canadian UN forces.
I like that fella.
There's a documentary called, I think it's Shake Hands with the Devil. It's on YouTube. There's a very good documentary about him and his efforts and how he tried. He's probably saved at least 1,000 people by getting them into the UN compound for safety, right?
Wow.
Because it was a walled compound, so he could lock them in. And, you know, that way they weren't getting macheted to death like a lot of the poor folks in the streets were, right?
Right. As Snell Messiah says, the
actually,
Tutsis
I'll look it up. I could probably find it on YouTube. I'll post it in the private chat for us.
Can I bring up something real quick?
Yes.
Yeah, Old Man Bird said, you know, I want to actually highlight. Yeah, there we go. The difference is that no one invades Russia. Well, the Germans tried. That didn't work out too well for them.
Didn't work out so well for the Germans.
You know, but Russia often invades. He's not wrong about that. He's just historically, he's not wrong. But I think Trump, like people say, oh, Trump's pro-Russia. Is he pro-Russia, or is he just pro-trying to stop a third world war? There's nothing
That's what he
wrong,
said.
Nothing wrong with wanting to prevent it. Yeah, like people like, oh, you talk nice about Putin. He's like he said with Z. He's like, or no, actually Putin. He's like, why would I talk trash about him, but then call him and say, hey, Putin, how you doing? He's right. That makes sense. I don't want to be at war with Russia. Do I trust the Russian government? No. Do I have a problem with the Russian people? No, I don't. I've met Russian people. They're super people. They're awesome.
I don't want these guys to die in war.
I don't want Russians to die. I don't want Americans to die. I don't want Canadians to die.
Of the world, let's get together and have a beer together and let our government
some vodka and
get in the octagon. All the men and women in the armed forces, let's get together because we all have some commonalities we can get together around, like beer, for example.
Most people do. If you look around the world, most people will all get along just fine. We all have the same things. We want to raise our families. We want to. Most people want to have traditional families. Now, how you define traditional is between each individual person. I have mine, but I'm not pushing off anybody. We just all want to live. We want to have family. We want to have children. We want to live in peace. And we want to advance together.
And
if some alien species comes to the Earth and wants to fuck around, let's make them find out.
Ooh, not like but we can try.
My experience at my increasing.
Well, if they're going to wipe you out, you might as well throw everything you got at them at that point.
Yeah, I think there's two things basically that are a problem that divide humanity. It's politics and religion.
Yeah.
You know, it's those
I
two
think
things.
religion's become less of a problem. It's more
Oh,
politics.
you haven't looked at what's going on
Well, I'm
over in
not
the
talking about
United
like
Kingdom.
Islam, Judaism,
Well, Islam
Christianity,
and the UK
Buddhism,
is
stuff like
destroyed.
that.
The UK is being destroyed right now from
Oh,
within.
it is. Is
Oh,
the UK
okay.
even left? Is there any real UK left? Not
No.
really.
Well, I
No.
just saw a video on YouTube today where they
No.
said telling somebody to speak English in the United Kingdom is now a hate crime you could be arrested for.
You know why it says that?
Yes. That's what the police are doing in the
But
streets
if you
of the
go to
United
their
Kingdom.
country, that's fine. Yeah. Well, Snortopoopas has a solution. Dark Helmet, do you mind reading this?
Absolutely. Snortopoopas cuber. I'm sorry, I'm going to say Snortopoopicus because it works better for me. Just turn over all your countries to the polar bears. We'll fix your little red wagons.
That's right. Belarus is on Russia's side. Oh, okay, I didn't know that, old man bird. And do you mind reading this, PvP? Who you'll probably agree with this.
Okay, just give me a second here. Many women are sweet if you use the right dipping sauce. Okay.
Baby gravy.
Whipped cream.
Some kind of cream.
Nemesis of Eden in the chat says, don't forget PvP. We also weren't allowed to shoot back. We lost a lot of good soldiers and people due to being the blue helmets. That is absolutely true.
Yeah, back then we were peacekeepers and we only could use our guns to defend ourselves.
And we didn't trample old men and old women with our RCMP horses.
Now, let's be fair.
That's
US,
fake news.
What was it? U.S. forces? I forgot where it was. Somewhere in the Middle East. It was years ago. It was Russian. Who was the Russian arms company over there? It was like private contractor. And then they used like locals. They went to attack a U.S. military base. It was like a small forward operating base. Yeah, they didn't win at all. They got bombarded by AC-130s, fighter jets, A-10s, artillery. Yeah, it didn't work out well for them.
Do you mind reading this PvP?
That would be a brutal sight to see, Snortopoopas. Metal as fuck. What?
Yep, metal as fuck.
Yep.
if all the polar bears, got hold of the rest of the Earth, yep, you know it.
They would die in anything other than the northern and southern hemisphere.
That's right. Yeah, we could live in peace with the polar bears. Thank you for putting that in there, Suzanne. That is awesome. And Snell Messiah says, and I want to come in peace too. She's very pretty. Ooh, Heather Lockyer, I'm assuming. Oh no, the Ukrainian.
Excuse me.
Ooh, and do you mind reading this, Dark Helmet?
Oh yeah, Nemesis of Eden. Napoleon and Hitler tried to invade Russia. It didn't. I'll correct some wording. It didn't work well for either of them, mostly due to the weather. Absolutely 100% correct. Their equipment failed. The people froze. They could not move. Absolutely correct.
They didn't have. Yeah, their internet didn't work. It was horrible.
It's absolutely 100% correct. Even if you invade Russia during the spring, you're going to be bogged down by rain and very sticky mud. I think you have 2 or 3 months tops that you could do it if you're lucky.
Yeah. Then hello, PS2. Very good to see. Good to see you. And JPRPH1. Do you mind reading this PvP, please?
Gonna have to take off her. It was a fun hangout with you all. God bless. Gonna have to take off her what? I'm really
here.
wondering.
Oh,
assuming-
fine. Okay.
Oh, take
sorry.
off here. Okay.
We were talking about something else. Sorry. My fault.
My mind was going to another place there, but oh well.
You too.
Yep.
Want to make
By the way, I
McCams?
posted the movie Shake Hands with the Devil in the private chat. It's
Nice.
it's a dramatization, of course, of the situation, but it's a pretty interesting film, so it's worth a look. Give you some idea of what happened there, anyway. There's also another film called, I believe, Hotel Rwanda, which I cannot find. I cannot find it on YouTube free, so that might be one you'll have to Google if you ever want to watch that. But that's a good watch. That's a good one too. So, Hotel Rwanda.
Yep, I've heard of that one. Yep.
Yeah, I've heard
It
of
is good. I saw it once many years ago, and it is a good watch.
Yeah.
I
Excellent.
got a question for you two, real quick.
Yes.
Now I know you two are Canadians. I'm American because we don't have any Mexicans or South Americans on here. Let's say if United States, Canada, Mexico, and all the Central and South American countries come together and say, "Hey, let's work out a peace agreement. Let's work out a trade agreement. Let's work out something where we can all protect each other, benefit each other." Would you all be for that?
America.
Well, back in the 1980s, we signed the free trade agreement with the USA and Mexico.
Yes.
Yeah, the free trade agreement actually turned out to be really bad.
But it was supposed to achieve exactly what you just mentioned.
Well, I know what you're talking about. No, I'm just talking about like protection, stuff, something like that. Let's say if we could all work something out where you sat down. I'm sorry if it takes a year, do it a year. Take a year. We all agree because, hey, we're the North American, Central American, South American continent. We're all connected. We all need to end up working together.
We thought we'd
militarily, financially.
We thought we had worked all that out 40 years ago, but it all fell apart, right?
Well, those are full of dumbasses back then.
Snell Messiah has a good point, and I'm a little leery, as he seems to be. Snell Messiah says, "Don't fall for it. Just watch what the EU is."
I don't trust the EU. They're corrupt. They absolutely are corrupt.
I would say, if you want to know how bad the situation's becoming in Europe, just watch. I would concentrate on watching the stuff from the United Kingdom, or
Germany or France
or France. It's all getting bad. The uncontrolled immigrate. The thing is, I've come to the conclusion this is on purpose. This is a globalist strategy to destroy Western civilization.
It is.
And when you see what's in Britain, my mother was born in Britain, right? So I kind of take this shit personally. It's like George Orwell had it nailed right on the head correct, is what is happening now. It's Orwellian, daddy state, control your thought, control police. It's actually happening now. And
it is.
Yes, absolutely.
London has fallen.
Yeah.
Yes.
France has fallen. Germany has fallen. And I think Germany's ahead of all of it.
Yes.
And if the Liberals get back in, Canada's next on the agenda.
If we're already
why the U.S. is fighting with Canada. We don't want you to become the EU.
I want my buddy voters. That's why I want my voters card so badly, so I know where to go and vote. And it's getting short.
No offense to you Canadians, but if the EU is going to have influence over it, we will put your carrier strike groups off the coast of
I don't blame you.
Prevent that from happening.
I don't blame you, and
I want Canada to be a good neighbor. We want you to be our friends. We want to be family. We don't want that. We want Mexico to be our family as well.
This is the crazy shit, though. I remember 3 or 4 weeks ago, Mark Carney, when he was campaigning for the Liberal Party, said I haven't watched the video, but I heard about it. He said Canada should say, leave end the relationship with the U.S. and join Europe.
For what reason? You're not going to benefit from it.
No way.
I know it's nuts. And it's how can we become a member of the European Union when we're in North America?
What's the UK going to do? Send over warships?
But this is how nuts.
All 5 of them.
This is how nuts Carney. This is how nuts Carney is. We can't technically become a member of Europe because we're in North America. We're not in fucking Europe.
We're fine with you being your own country. We just want to be good neighbors and family.
But
It's our continent. We're connected together. We have
exactly.
We have to work with each other, not Europe. Europe can go fuck itself.
We got nothing to do with Europe, as far as I'm concerned. That's what makes no sense, right? It's like the politics here are getting like, it's getting like Looney Tunes. Like Daffy Duck makes more fucking sense than Mark Carney, right? It's like it's wacko. It's
well,
totally
he's got
wacko.
European passports. He's got an Irish and a UK passport.
Didn't he spend 10 years in the UK?
He identified.
He ran the Bank of England.
He
ran the Bank of England. He ran the Bank of England and drove it into the ground because I saw a video with one of the. It was a woman. She was a prime minister back then when he was running the bank, and she had a scathing video about Mark Carney's performance. How he destroyed the Bank of England and killed their economy. Yep.
We don't want to take Canada over. We really don't. It makes for great memes. Don't get me wrong. It's funny, but we don't genuinely want to take you guys over. We just want you to be family with us, good neighbors, defensive partners.
I would rather we want,
but the EU is working their magic over there, or the CCP.
What we need is to get Pierre Poilievre in here, the leader of the Conservative Party, and he's talked about he's going to start cracking down on the crime. No more, free range criminals. If they commit a serious crime, they're going away. They're going to prison, and they're staying there. Right now, under Liberals, it's catch and release. Right, catch and release. I remember when that guy committed a murder in downtown Vancouver like 6 months ago. He had like 14 violent offenses on his record. Right.
He shouldn't have even been free.
They let him on a parole, and like a day later, he murders a man in downtown Vancouver.
No kidding.
With a fucking machete.
I got a question for you guys, if I may, real quick. I know some of the people in Canada are like, oh, let's relate more to the EU. If Canada's invaded by some country, who's going to come to your aid? The EU or the United States?
No,
we're going to flood your country with troops, aircraft, naval vessels from all sides. Who's going to save you? We will.
So how come you didn't say? Well, why didn't you do that and save us from Trudeau?
Well, that's your country. That's a political thing. That's on you guys. That's up to you guys on that one. We may not agree with that, but that's up to you guys. We had to deal with Biden.
People voted Liberal 3 times. And you know what? I was stupid enough. I voted Liberal. And
the first time
I deeply regret it now. I deeply regret it.
Hey, we all make mistakes. That's cool. I voted moderate at one point.
But when he first got in, he seemed like a very positive young leader, right? Sunny ways, all that shit, right? He seemed like he was on the track. And then the last term, the last 4 years, he's gone right full dictator, asshole mode. And that's when I turned against him completely.
I voted for him because one of the major planks in his original platform to get elected was to voter reform. He was going to change first past the post here, and that never happened. And
of course,
we didn't hold him accountable for that for some reason. Everyone forgot. Do you mind reading this, PvP?
Sure. Nemesis of Eden said, I'd be down for an Americans trade agreement. We have all the resources to be self-sufficient. Well, we could be self-sufficient if we had proper government. I still think
the U.S., Canada, Mexico, South America, we can just take care of a lot of our own stuff together.
Canada, U.S., I believe Canada, U.S. we have the biggest trading agreement day by day in the world, do we not? Like, I believe it's over $1 billion, isn't it? That goes back
China
and forth.
can take the piss.
Yep.
I'm not even sure if China's ahead of us. China might be second.
No, they're not. They're behind the U.S. with that, actually.
I mean, Canada trading, I think you guys might be our biggest trading partner in the world.
We are.
It's close to that, yeah.
It's not that we don't want to be friends with you. It's not that we don't want to be trading partners. We just want a fair tariff.
Yep.
If Canada has a tariff, the U.S. should have a matching tariff. I get that. You want to make money to protect the workers in Canada. I respect that. The U.S. wants to protect the workers here. I respect that.
Well,
let's have a low tariff between us. Something that's reasonable that both countries can live with, and we go, hey, we're good. Awesome. That's all we want.
The thing is,
Canada's been screwing U.S. imports for, I think, what was it? Dairy was like 400%, something like that.
That's true.
Is awful.
And you guys
The
make
U.S. had
delicious
low tariffs on
cheese.
Canadian
You guys make
imports.
delicious cheese.
Wisconsin cheese, anyway.
You know, I think the problem though is with like dairy products is there's a lot of hormones and stuff.
No, I
Americans
agree
have.
with that. No, I agree with that. We
Well,
need to pull all that crap out of the food.
Our milk
I'm
here is
all with you
hormone
on
free.
that one.
They won't allow any hormones in our Canadian milk, which is why I drink Canadian milk. Because
Well, here's how I look at it with that, and I agree with you 100% because I think they need to pull it out of our food, and RFK Jr. wants to do that. You know, let's get all this crap out of the food. I think can we all agree on that?
Oh yes, whether
it be milk, cheese, even if you're making frozen TV dinners, if you make frozen TV dinners that are fresh, nutritious, and they last 6 months, people are like, well, they won't last 5 years. Why do I need a TV dinner to last?
I don't want it to.
No,
I'm not.
We don't want that. Give me a nutritious, because I understand some people work a lot and they, may not have time to cook. I'm fine with that. Let's get all that crap out of the food. And I think if we do that, U.S., Canada, and Mexico, if we work together, we could be a powerhouse.
We could.
We could take care of ourselves together, all three countries.
We totally could.
I just got to step away for like 2 minutes, guys. I'll be right back.
I believe Reagan proposed that, at least militarily. Didn't he say Fortress North America back in the 80s? Like, we could be a powerhouse with the American and Canadian ingenuity and the resources and the combined resources. And I tell you, it sure would be nice for me to go down in the winter months and work some productively, contributing to whatever southern place I'm in the Americas, because Canada's just
problem in Mexico. We got to get rid of the cartel issue.
Oh,
I'm not saying they're going to get rid of crime.
Well, we have cartels up here. They're called.
Oh, we got them here too. Trust me.
And motorcycle gangs and Chinese triads.
Oh, we got them here too. Trust me.
Yeah, the drug gangs.
If we can get that kind of under control, I'm sorry. At this point, I'm at the point I'm like, hey, if we can work a deal out the cartels, if they say, hey, we met some Chinese companies or Chinese CCP people. We're just letting you know they were wanting to do this. We're letting you know, U.S. and Canada. I'd be like, okay, I'll take it. I'm kind of at that point.
Dark Helmet, there's some great chats here. I'd like to get through them.
Absolutely. Let's get to them.
I'm going to read this from Suzanne. Welcome to Canada, corruption. I just watched 4 large male cops take down a tiny female reporter brutally and arrest her. Sickening. Sickening. I'm so embarrassed to be a Canadian. Absolutely. The RCMP members, I used to think that, well, no, the individual humans that are the RCMP officers, they're still humans. They won't act that way. They won't do that sort of brutal Gestapo type behavior. And then I saw the Ottawa Freedom Convoy and how perfectly peaceful people were. I mean, an older woman and an older man got trampled by RCMP horses, both of them. I saw.
They did. They sat there and parked their trucks in the street, and they did a parking violation.
There was no violence. There was only one shooting in all of the Freedom Convoy, and this is a fact. I watched it happen live. There was one shooting in all of the Freedom Convoy, and that was a reporter, a Canadian female reporter, French Canadian, got shot by the police with a tear gas canister about 10 feet or less from her. Can you imagine getting shot by a tear gas canister 10 feet away in her thigh? Thank God it hit her thigh.
Not her chest. It would have stopped her heart.
I saw it happen. That is not fake news. That friggin' happened. I saw it happen live. They are suing. It's currently in court.
Yep.
And the manufacturer is saying, hey, we don't recommend that use at all. That goes against every training procedure that ever happened. This particular reporter happened to be particularly critical of the Canadian government and the Liberals in particular. So is that a coincidence?
No.
I'm sure that's just a coincidence. Someone needs to go to jail. Someone's supervisor needs to go to jail or after a fair trial.
Fair trial, of course.
And she needs to be
compensation.
She needs to be compensated, but she's not playing the victim, which is
I respect that.
But she and I want every single officer that was involved in training that officer to have a full review. What the fuck is going on? Like
the Canadian police are going full dictator, like in the UK.
They absolutely are, and that is not hyperbole.
Well,
we've got video evidence.
Yeah, that's like
no one was armed.
Was this on the Rebel News channel by any chance?
It was covered in a lot of places, but it was a Rebel News reporter.
I watched it before Rebel.
That makes sense.
I knew about Rebel.
They love to attack the Rebel News reporters.
They really
I remember Ezra Levant, who's one of the main guys on the channel running it, right?
Yep.
Remember when they were doing the Palestinian protests, and they were doing a reenactment of the guy that got killed in the chair, the terrorist guy in the chair.
Right. Yes.
They were doing a reenactment on the block that's a major Jewish community on that block.
Right. Isn't that hate speech?
Is that not hate, right? And he went there with a camera crew just to film it, and he wanted to just ask honest questions about the Palestinian supporters. Why are you doing this? The police arrested him. They put him in handcuffs. They hauled him off to jail.
They arrest him.
They
arrest him. Yeah, they told
he
him
got assaulted. Yep. He got assaulted, and they arrest him.
And they said you're creating a disturbance by bothering people or something along those lines. I forget the exact phrase.
He hurt somebody's feelings.
And they told him, you go across the other side of the street if you want to film. And he's like, no, I'm a Canadian citizen.
I have every right to do this.
I remember what he said.
Their skin color and their religion, they're off limits.
Yeah, they're off limits.
You can't do that.
Yeah,
so it's a two-tier policing system in this
remember what he told to that cop. He said, I'm a Canadian, I'm a Jew, I have a right to report this, I have a right to film it and ask questions.
Property.
And he said, I'm on a public sidewalk.
Yep.
And they still handcuffed him and hauled him away.
Because it's easier to deal with him than it is with the protesters. And that's exactly why.
Well, they take the easier route out. They don't want to do their job.
PvP, do you mind reading this from our friend Old Man Bird?
Hey, Old Man Bird. I was with the military in Honduras, where we bring together the Central American generals from several countries to meet to make friends and have regional cooperative security. So we are working. Well, that's what we need to do more of, right?
That's what we want. The whole North and South American, South American continent.
Well, I still believe that 90% of the human race is rational, in spite of the 10% that are crazy. But it seems like the crazies are taking over the world lately.
I'll tell you this. What was it? 2023 when the trucker convoy went on, correct?
2022.
Oh yeah. When that was going on, well, I'm American, obviously, because freedom, and I have a bunch of guns. Canadian government go fuck itself. Sorry.
Yes, you're goddamn right.
But I flew in a Canadian flag once the trucker convoy started. I put a Canadian flag on my flagpole under my American flag. I got so much crap for Canadian from that. So much crap.
You were getting anti-Canadian flack from your neighbors or something?
From Canadians, yeah. Dude, why are you flying a Canadian flag? You're not American. You're a fascist. I'm like, why? Because I want to defend your right for freedom of speech. Your right to defend yourself. Your right to keep and bear arms.
Yes.
Your right to become our brothers and sisters. I was like, there's nothing wrong with that. I got so much crap from that. And you know what? I stood my ground the entire time. And I didn't care. Because I love my Canadian family.
We love you too, man.
And I will come up there if somebody invades you, and I will defend you with my rifles. No hands up. Awesome. Bring the beer, though.
Absolutely, man.
You get some good, strong Canadian beer.
Here.
Oh man,
that's all we want.
We're family. We are.
The thing is, when I was a kid,
we are.
When I was a kid, even a teenager in the 70s, the world. I mean, I know there was Vietnam. I know there was bad shit. I know there was problems, but not anything near the level of what's going on these days.
No, it's bad now. Anti-Americanism in Canada is bad.
It's just crazy. It's just everything's gotten so crazy when freedom becomes a dirty word. And the truckers did absolutely nothing. They were peaceful. They were having barbecues, and he sends in the cops. He sends in on horseback, I believe. Some of the cops went in.
Yep.
The
I remember
trample
watching
people.
all those videos. It was bad.
And it's like, what the fuck? I mean, Putin would do this kind of shit, right?
Exactly.
I don't even know if Putin would even done that much, honestly.
But seriously, I remember that one video of Trudeau admiring the communist dictators in China, saying he liked the leadership in China because they, quote, knew how to get things done.
Yes.
I'll never
by
forget that
force.
video as long as I live. That sent chills down my spine when I thought, we have a fucking elected prime minister that admires a
Yes.
dictator in China because he can get things done.
That's
And
exactly
how many Canadians
correct.
have forgotten that since then?
It's insane. It's totally
A
insane.
lot of them.
Happening.
That's what we're talking about right there, folks. This is a shot
That's
from the
unity
Freedom Convoy.
right there. That's what we want.
Yes.
We can
Yes, it
have
is.
our own flags and still be family. We can be friends. We can
And
still
who
flip
doesn't
each other
want
the
this?
finger across the border time to time.
Dark Helmet, which country, communist country, doesn't want this?
Cuba, China.
Bingo.
I don't think Russia really cares, honestly.
No,
I think they got their own
China
issues. China
is-
definitely does not.
Now, I'm not saying that
China's
they started
starting
this
to. No, China's
controversy,
making their inroads into
but
Canada. Y'all
They
need
are
to be
taking
careful over there.
advantage.
Have
Yeah,
They're
you not?
taking advantage. Yes.
Have you not? I haven't had time because I had a really heavy work schedule last week, so I haven't watched as much video. But I've heard that the Liberal Party is basically being very heavily infiltrated by Chinese communist
Absolutely.
the CCP.
and it's
With
Not
scary as
Chinese
fuck.
people, the CCP.
Yep.
Because
Yes.
I've met Chinese immigrants and Chinese tourists, nicest people on earth, and they'll tell me
Yes.
privately
Agreed.
what they think. They're like, "Hey, I'm over here. I can say this now." Nicest people on earth. They're like
Agreed.
everybody else.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, here in BC on the West Coast, we've always had a Chinese presence from when they built the the Great Railway back in the 1800s, right?
Yeah.
Because they brought the coolies over from China to work on the railway, pounding the spikes into the tracks, right? Working
Yep.
through the mountain passes and really dangerous conditions. I'm sure many of them died under those horrible working conditions.
Absolutely.
But they were hardworking. They basically built our national railway that connected our country from the East Coast to the West Coast. I mean, I always, respect their hard work for that. And we got Chinatown in Vancouver, which is, I think, the second largest Chinatown in North America after San Francisco's.
Yeah.
So there's a very huge Chinese presence, and not just Chinese. We got, Japanese and Vietnamese, very big Asian presence here on the West Coast.
And I don't knock those people.
Hardworking. There are hardworking, honest people for the most part, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
Hello. I want to welcome. Can you read this, please, Dark Helmet?
Right. Kalos Matera. If I butchered that name, please, for the love of God, forgive me. Hi, I'm here from Nemesis Channel.
Hey there.
Good to have you here.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming. Nice to see you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, anytime you want to come on in the commentary and comment sections and hang out, please do.
Absolutely. And
I think we can all agree that it's not the Chinese people of China that are the problem, it's the CCP.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I've been to
Most
China.
Chinese people are like Canadians. They're like Americans. They're like
Mm-hmm.
Mexicans. They're like South Americans. Regardless of what country. They just want to live their lives. They want to be happy. They want to have a family. And I'm all for that.
Whoa. Holy shit. Can you please, Script Doctor, I want to say hello, Script Doctor, welcome to see you. Can you please read this PvP from our friend Script Doctor? And I'll make you a moderator as well, because we know you very well.
It says the amount of police officer suspensions that have been put forth for cops refusing to follow dictator-like orders has skyrocketed over the last 2 years. Well, I was not aware of that.
Good. But police officers.
I have wondered why a lot of cops just refuse to act like dictators and harass Canadian citizens. Like, they should just say, "I ain't going to do that. I'm not a stormtrooper. I ain't going to mindlessly follow your orders, Mr. Trudeau." Right? and they should.
That's right.
But
Those are
that's the
people
thing.
that should be police officers. Then
Yes.
they should uphold. The thing is, cops used to uphold the law. Now they think they have a right to make the law.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
wrong.
Yes.
That is absolutely true. And so are you talking about the Canadian gun called the Crypto?
I heard something about that. They're trying to ban it recently.
They're not trying to. There was a decree issued by the RCMP at the top level. So when they just put out the last gun laws, the gun restrictions and the banned weapons, this last, I think it was about a year ago or 2 years ago. Time is all. It's hard to keep track of how much of things now because of how much legislation they're throwing at us, but to restrict our rights and freedoms. But so there was this Canadian company, fully Canadian company, that decided, you know what? Okay, these are the laws, so we're going to make a gun outside of, but we can have these things. Yes, you can have okay, so we're going to make a gun adhering to the law that follows all these things, these stuff, and yeah, it's going to look badass. But it's going to be within the law, and we're going to make it and design it and build it. And they did, and it was called the Crypto, with a C, nothing to do with cryptocurrency. And you know what? The RCMP, after they produced it and started selling it, the RCMP, without any parliamentary hearings, without any voting, without any of our representatives getting a say in it, the RCMP head guys decided, well, no, that gun, that's illegal. That you can't have that. That's on the restricted list. It was always meant to be included. Sorry, you can't have that. And so that now is on the restricted weapon. Now that's being fought in court.
Yeah.
But
when did the
police
do this?
This year. When did they decide?
Was it since Parliament has been prorogued or before?
Since Parliament has been prorogued, because we've been prorogued most of this year.
Well, that seems to me completely illegal then, because
it is absolutely illegal. It's being taken to court.
If you're going to pass a if you're going to do something outlawing a certain gun, to me, Parliament has to be in session. It has to be debated in the House of Commons between every political party, all of them, so they can go back and forth and make their arguments to each other before there's. They should have to, have a bill passed that outlaws it.
That's right. Otherwise,
legal.
It's a police state. When the
RCMP should have no say over that. It should be what the government says.
It's secret police.
Right or wrong?
It's total secret police stuff.
It absolutely is. Yep. Absolutely.
This is like KGB shit going on back in the days of when Russia was really bad, right? Like,
so now to clarify, I don't want to misspeak. Parliament hasn't been prorogued for most of the year. It's been prorogued for a few months now. Previous to that, and now we're not prorogued because he ended it, and then now we're in an election phase, which means Parliament is dissolved. So Parliament was tied up for months and months because the government was ordered by the head of Parliament, by the Speaker of the House, to release documents about their dealings with corporations that would probably lead to unethical behavior. The government has refused to release those documents, so the repercussions of their lack of transparency is they are forbidden to do any government business in that, i.e. Canada's business, in the House of Parliament until they release these documents. So that was back in like October, September, something like that.
It's been a long time.
And then it was installed, and then prorogued, and then it was dissolved, and now we're in an election cycle. So we haven't had a democracy in Canada since 2024. That is not hyperbole. That is not an exaggeration. That is exactly our members, the people we voted for, have not had a say in Parliament since 2024 and before.
Have you gentlemen heard of the United States Marine Corps? I'm not saying that to joke. I genuinely worry about you guys.
It's true.
You're our neighbors, but I genuinely worry. You're becoming a totalitarian state.
We are.
PvP, do you mind reading this, please, from our friend Script Doctor? And welcome, Script Doctor. Thank you for being here. We talk travel, but we also talk politics.
If you remember during the lockdown, the Toronto Police Department refused to abide by the federal mandate. That department was reviewed, and the officers that refused were punished. Happens to hundreds of divisions.
And shout out to those
fine officers. Then
those are fine officers.
Absolutely.
Yep, and he
they
continues.
Should be promoted.
He continues. Do you mind reading this, Dark Helmet, please?
Yeah. Well, Script Doctor. Since then, there has been a crackdown on cops upholding the law, which is why we've seen an escalation in officers violating people's rights and property.
Yep, I believe that is correct. And
they're hiring the lowest bidders then at this point.
That's right. Nemesis of Eden says, very true, Script Doctor. You toe the line blindly or you suffer if you're a good person.
Yep.
And I think we know where the three of us would go, but there's a lot of pressure, especially if that's where you have the independent, strong guys by the balls if they've got a family to look out for. And if they've got a family, the government has them by the balls.
Can you imagine if you've been a hardworking police officer for 20 years, putting your life on the line every single day? You put that uniform and strap that gun to your hip. You go out there in the community to protect and serve and try to do the right thing for 20 years. And then you get this corrupt dictatorship government that tells you, hey, you can't enforce the law anymore. You got to do what we tell you to do and make up the law as you go along. And if you say, no, that's wrong, I refuse, you get fired. And then how do you feed your family? You're out of a job. What do you do? If you're not getting a pension at that point, how do you survive? How do you feed your wife and kids, right?
I would have donated whatever I could to every one of those officers that stood down and said, this is not right. I would have. I don't make a lot of money, but I would have donated what I could. I flew the Canadian flag on my flagpole, my American flag. I genuinely donated money to a trucker convoy.
They will take your bank account and freeze it if you don't.
Well, I'm in the U.S., so I ain't got to worry about that.
And that is not fake news.
Fuck off.
Well, that's because you have laws against that in your country. That is not fake news.
Yeah, good luck with
he
that
even reported on that. You can Google it.
Yeah.
Do you mind reading this, please? PvP from our friend Snail Messiah while I stoke this fire.
Okay. Give me a second here.
Make it big.
Please chat about it.
I am part of a program for people who are close to applying for disability. I am the only Dane there. I do not understand what they're talking about, and they dare say that Danes don't talk to them. Okay, I'm not really sure what that's about.
Yeah, I'm not sure that. Hey, Snail Messiah, can you be a little more clear? Are you like Danish?
Are you Danish?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Did you have a Danish?
Yeah, did you have a Danish, or are you Danish? Or can you be a little more clear on that? That'd be really super.
The thing is, your laws about disability applications are going to be vastly different than ours, I'm sure. So
different from most countries, honestly.
Well,
all countries are different on that.
It's very, from what I've looked into. Like, I remember when I was having a lot of pain with my legs a couple years ago, and I did briefly look into it. And the doctor I had then, which he was a bit of a dick, to be honest, he was like, "Oh yeah, it's very difficult."
That is a loud butt plug. I've never heard a louder butt plug in my life.
Jesus Christ, that's loud.
No, remember when what was it? The truckers, or it was in was it North Dakota, I think, and they were Canadian. They were blocking the border there. What was that?
That was probably the biggest controversy, because there were points of the border they blocked.
Oh yeah, they were blocking. Canadian truckers were blocking. I remember watching all of it.
I think the ones that got arrested, and actually there's I think a couple that are still in prison right now for that activity. They're the ones that got in the most serious trouble, I believe, because blocking the border is pretty serious. Even though I didn't think it's that big deal, but I did hear.
I understand why they did what they did for the.
I understand what they did, but I heard there was like one guy that had built an illegal pipe bomb that he had. In
No,
his,
that I understand. If you
you
build
know.
an illegal weapon, fine, I
Yeah,
get it.
so there was a couple of folks where I was like, okay, I can
But
see
if you
them
just parked your truck in the road and you got put in prison,
that's
if I was
stupid.
the U.S. president, I'd have went, hey, send them over here to U.S. We'll give them amnesty. You don't have to worry about him, or we'll give them citizenship.
Yeah, I agree. That's really, really dumb. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was dumb. Because I was very watching a lot of it. I was very involved in it at the time.
Snell Messiah in the chat says, I'm discriminated against because I am male. And so many of their sport programs are for women only.
Damn penis owner.
Middle Eastern women can't be together with males. Well, you can identify as a woman. I'm pretty sure that's a thing now. Do you mind reading this PvP while I drink something?
Sure, give me a second here. Nemesis of Eden said he ruined the Bank of England and he will ruin Canada's economy too. I agree. And then fuck off with his riches and leave us in shambles. Exactly. And I just want to add, I just want to add to what Nemesis said. Not only is Carney so much of a loser, he did all of that and failed. He also has invested money in Middle Eastern oil production in the Middle East. I think it's Saudi Arabia, perhaps. I could have the wrong country, but he's also invested, I believe, in oil production in South America. And he's been making money off a company in the USA producing coal.
Yep.
This is the guy that's supposed to be on the environmental bandwagon, right? He even wrote a book. There's an infamous book he wrote about globalized, saving the planet and all that shit. I'll have to look it up. And next time we're on, I'll post a link to that for you guys. And apparently it's a really frightening book about, the climate change shit, like just fanatical climate change shit, though, right? Like Looney Tunes stuff. But he's making money off of overseas oil from the Middle East. He's making money off of coal in the USA, which is, not healthy for the environment. I think most people would agree. He's making, tons of money off of that. Plus, he moved his headquarters. I forget the name of the company, but he used to have his headquarters in Canada. About 10 days after Trump won the election, he moved his headquarters to New York. And he denied having anything to do with that decision. But later documents came out where he was actually in the room on the board of directors, and he voted for it to move it to New York.
He moved it to the state with a high tax rate.
Yeah. Mark Carney, he's a globalist. He's a self-serving, greedy, elitist bastard.
Why don't you serve it in the UK for years?
Yeah, he drove the Bank of England into the ground. Yeah.
Literally, what y'all need to do.
Yep.
Canadian Spider-Man, PvP. Get all the people that aren't completely mentally challenged. Move to Alberta. Get to Alberta. We'll make Alberta a U.S. territory. You can have your socialized medicine. You can live your life how you want. You can have your flag go how you want. But you'll have U.S. protection because it's a lot better than what you have now. Just do that and we'll be good. We'll all be happy.
We'll see. If we get the Conservatives in at the end of the month, I think we'll be fine.
I think so.
Are you really sure about that? Because I've been reading about some. I'm like,
if they don't,
there's a difference between U.S. conservatives and Canadian conservatives. I'll be fair about that.
Oh, there's a big. I think there's a significant difference. I think our conservatives are a little more middle of the road. I think the American conservatives can be a little more right of center than ours. Still,
I agree.
Still, the conservatives are right of center here compared
to the liberals. We just want to be family with you guys. We want to be friends. That's all we
want. Have you watched any of the rallies that Pierre Poilievre has been doing for the last month?
Oh, yeah.
I've watched two that have caught that have popped up on YouTube.
The guy has been getting rallies of like 5,000, 10,000, 15,000.
I know he was against a Trump terrorist.
I think he had a rally recently. It was like 25,000 people in one building.
Has he been shot in the ear yet?
Like, it's nuts, though.
Yeah, it's
sorry, I had to pop that in there.
Remember, our population is 1/10 of yours, right? So when he gets like 15,000 people in a room, that's equivalent to like 150,000.
No, that's good for
Canada rally, right?
Yeah.
So,
And Script Doctor, that's why I don't think it will be a minority government because of the size of the rallies. I mean, they've broken records.
if people are as motivated at the rallies as they are to get out and stand in the line to cast their ballot, I think it's going to be a landslide.
I hope not. And
the only thing is, don't get
Eden.
Complacent. Don't stay home. Get your ass off the couch and vote for Pierre.
We do still have some guns. If you know what a Lapua rifle can do, it'll shoot a straight line at damn near 1,000 yards. So we do have. Not that I'm advocating. There's a channel strike. Anyway, moving on. Can you please read this Dark Helmet from our friend Script Doctor? Not Strip Doctor. That's different.
All right. From Script Doctor. Son, there has been a crackdown on cops upholding the law, which is why we've seen an escalation in officers violating people's rights and property. Thoughts? That's a good statement.
Yep. Absolutely. If people feel like there's no repercussions, then they're just going to do it again. Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
Well, the trouble is the cops feel like, cops used to have to obey the law. Now they feel like they're above the law.
A lot of them, yeah. And that makes the good ones and there are good ones, that makes them, it must make them feel disheartened.
It must make them feel, I would say the word would be compromised. Like they want to do the right thing, but maybe even they are intimidated and frightened to actually do what they should do.
Well, exactly. That's it. Yeah.
If I was a cop now, even though I live in the U.S., but if I was a cop and somebody told me, oh, you got to violate this person's rights, I couldn't do it. I genuinely could not do it. I could not do that and wake up in the morning and say, I did the right thing. I couldn't do it.
Yep.
That's why I would never be a cop. That's why I stayed with the fire service. I thought about becoming a cop, but I've talked to the cops. I saw the ways. Now, not all cops. I've met plenty of amazing police officers.
Absolutely.
But I've met it just enough in the politician, listen to politics. I'm like, I can't do it. I couldn't do it. No.
And
I've always had, I know there's bad apples. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, there was one time I was just standing on the street corner waiting for my friends, minding my own business, and this cop, he stops his car and he says, come with me, and I'm like, well, no, I'm not doing nothing. I'm just standing here waiting for my friends.
Exactly.
He says, get in my car now, or I'm going to arrest you and put you in jail. And I'm like,
put me in jail.
So I just got in the car. I got in the car. I showed him my wallet. I guess I think it was just a power trip, and after about 5 minutes, he let me out of the car again. But it was just like it was one of those instances you remember for the rest of your life when you're.
Of course.
I was like 13 or something at this point, right? I was a kid,
and
it was just like some weird power trip he needed to do.
That's it.
Maybe he had a bad day and I look like an easy victim or something.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter what you look like. You treat everyone equally, and guys like that are keeping the good people out of becoming cops. No good person
people that were bullies
wants
in
to
high
become
school.
a cop now because they don't want to be tarnished with that brush. And I want to say a special hello and thank you. And I did see, and I think I mentioned it earlier, but just in case you didn't hear it, I do want to say hello to Dad Man Walking. Hello.
Hey, Dad Man. I just want to add quickly, Spuddy, I put a couple more in the private chat. I put one for Jasmine Lane.
I like her.
She used to be a journalist, I believe, and she's really good. Also, I put the main Rebel News channel because they post a lot of really good content every week.
They do good work. They do.
They really do.
Yeah.
I agree. And Dark Helmet, do you mind reading this, please? Because Script Doctor pretty much nails
it. All right, from Script Doctor. The liberals, tongue-tied. The liberals were invaded at the turn of the century by convincing MPs to bribe Quebec politicians to prohibit lobbying for separation, which led to sponsorship scandal. Now, you both are from Canada? I'll let you answer that. I have no say in that.
I remember vaguely the scholarship scandal years ago, Spotty, but It's so long ago, I can't really remember it that well, but it was a big deal back then. Wasn't there some Quebec company, like an airplane manufacturer,
Air, yeah,
some company that was getting millions of dollars from the Liberal Party, and it was
yes,
all like insider deals, like people
yep,
within the Liberals working for the company?
absolutely, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yep,
and it blew up.
exactly.
It blew up huge, like a big scandal, right? But that's like, God, it's got to be like over 20 years ago now. Yeah.
And yes, as far as good people in politics and good people in general, yeah, you toe the line blindly, or you suffer if you're a good person as a cop. Yeah, that's. But hopefully, the people that are cops would be exactly that kind of person that would have the integrity. I mean, you're supposed to be the best of us, with the utmost integrity.
Can I
Well,
give you
the
guys
thing,
a story real quick? No, go ahead. PvP. I'll let
I
you
was just
explain
going to
that. I have a
say,
story.
I was just going to say, if there was enough unity within the police force for all of them to stand up against the corrupt government and say no, then we might be okay, right? But the trouble is, like,
Paychecks are more important.
you got the good apples and the bad apples, and the bad apples are going to cave, right? Like they always do. So,
They always do.
Can I explain this? Can I give you guys a story? This happened probably 10 years ago.
Please, yes.
sure,
All right,
go for
10
it.
years ago, we got an EMS call. I was at my last fire department. It was a GSW, gunshot wound. We get there, we had a guy. I can't, I can say guy, that's fine. It doesn't violate HIPAA. I can't say much more than that. He had a wound through one cheek, out the other, right across his starfish. I mean, across the starfish,
Jesus,
very nicely, out in the other cheek and out the other side.
that's a tattoo and a half.
Oh, it was bad. We all looked at it, we're like, ugh.
Really bad.
We're dealing with him. We're, backing his butt crack with some cause. We're like, hey, what happened? He's like, oh, it was the guy gentleman said, oh, it was some gang members. We're like, why did gang members shoot you in the butt cheek? Well, we noticed the individual's spouse, I'll put it that way, was looking at him with a look like, we're like, she was just looking at him like, I can say it now for the most part. It doesn't violate HIPAA for the most part. I just can't give name, address. But dude, that look she gave him, and we're like, I think he cheated on her and she shot him in the butt. But he said some gang members shot him.
Those things.
And the thing was, there was only 2 shots heard in the area. And he said it was gang people shooting it. And we're like, and we heard that from the cops. We're like, okay. But, well, anyway, we got him bandaged up, got his butt cheeks and his starfish bandaged up. Oh, I felt bad for him because I know that it was excruciating for him. We get him loaded up. Well, we get him loaded up. His brother's there at the house. He showed up right after he got shot. Well, the police started arguing with. Here's where the story gets good.
Oh my
They told
God.
the brother he couldn't be there. They're like, you can't be here. And the mom and the brother were like, what are you talking about? He's my brother. She's my son. He's my son, his brother. And the police said, well, we said you can't be here. The mom's like, you don't have a court order to say that. They're like, it doesn't matter. We said you can't be here.
Wow.
And those of us on the fire truck, we stood up for this guy because he did nothing wrong.
Wow.
Everybody on the fire truck, including me, we stood up and I looked at the cop and dead in the face. I'm like, you don't have the authority to tell him he cannot be here. Only a judge can say that. The cop looked me dead in the face, went, I have every right. And if you have a problem with that, I'll take you to jail. I'm like, take me to jail and see what happens. We ended up fighting with the cops, not like physically, but there was like confrontation. But it was like
firefighters against cops. Oh my God!
It was. I swear to God, this
firefighters would win every time.
Well, the police chief showed up. The police chief ended up showing up. We explained what happened. Our fire chief showed up. Police chief ended up firing both police officers.
Nice.
And, Well, the people there, even the neighbors came out, heard what was going on. The neighbors were yelling at the cops. They're like, next time we have a robbery, somebody getting shot, we're just going to call the fire department because they'll stand with us.
Yes.
They'll protect us.
That's
You're
right.
not going to do it.
Right.
Dude, I thought I was going to go to
That's
jail
good.
that night. I genuinely did because the cop was ready to put me in cuffs.
Good for you.
That's
But
crazy.
the brother and the mom did nothing wrong. The cops have no right to tell somebody they can't be in town.
Sounds like.
Yeah, that's all it was. Only a judge can say that. And
That's
the mom's like, there is no court order that says he can't be here. The cop said, it doesn't matter. I have the say. I looked him dead in the eye. I was like, you don't have that right. He's like, you got a problem? I'm like, yeah, I do, because you're violating the Constitution.
Yep.
Oh,
and now you are
bad.
a private citizen. You're stepping
Oh,
outside
he was ready
of
to throw
your
me
duties.
in jail. Oh, it was
Now you're a
bad.
private citizen. And we can
Wow.
Ever since then, we had to respect those people in that neighborhood. If we showed up, any reason, they're like, hey, we got you covered. If anybody's around, we got you backed up.
Nice.
They were just awesome. But no, the cops are wrong. They got fired. They were terminated for it. The
do you mind
police
reading?
fire them.
Do you mind reading this PvP from Snail Messiah? Because this is legitimately true.
Get it, PvP.
Hey, RCMP did take shoes and socks from Native Canadians, drove them a few miles outside the city, and made them walk home if they could without dying.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard stories where in the middle of winter at like -20, they would take, like, if it was an inebriated a native person, like say in Winnipeg or some place where there's a lot of that going on, they would drive them like miles out of town and make them walk home in the cold.
The trucker convoy, they also drove them outside of town, where they were in February, in the middle of the winter. Outside, there was nothing there. They just dropped them off in parking lots on the outskirts of town, and they couldn't get taxis back. It was and they were organized, fortunately.
Absolutely disgusting.
But that's like everyone, that should all be investigated. People should be on trial, and there needs to be consequences.
Yep.
And
Well,
she was 120 pounds.
Personally, well, I remember there was one story where an inebriated native man froze to death because that's what they did. They dumped him out of town.
Yeah, that's what they did back
as far as I'm concerned, that's murder. The cops that did that committed
attempted murder.
They should at least be, I would say they should at least be sentenced to a minimum of 10 years in prison. They should be in prison for years and years. They should pay. That's a crime. They should pay for it. They took a man's life. You know, it's like, I'm a big Firefly fan, right? Remember that one line where somebody gets killed and was it the captain? He says, it's a rough thing, you shoot a man and you take away his life and you take away everything he'll ever have. Remember that line?
That's true. Yes, I do.
Yep. And
everything he ever was, everything he ever
will be. Yeah, everything he ever could be. Yeah, yeah. And it's like, I think that cop should have really gone to prison for a long, long time. That's my opinion.
Minimum manslaughter on that, at least 10 years.
Yeah, I'd say so. That would be fair.
Especially being a government agent.
I think he's gotten off light. Like maybe wait till it's -40 and strip him of his coat and
that's right.
Shoes. Put him 20 miles out of town, right?
Yep.
That's right. That's right.
See how he likes it.
Yeah, no, turnabout is fair play. Absolutely. That is justice.
Yeah.
Suzanne says, I'm done dropping links. My sepsis is bad. I'm always misgendering folks. I'm sorry. No, that's all good here.
Susan, how dare you misgender me as they, them, he, her, she, they,
it what could be, maybe someday.
Hi ho, ding ding boom boom.
Yeah, hippity hi ho.
Yep.
And Dark Helmet, can you read this from our friend Script Doctor, please?
Absolutely. My girlfriend's father is a retired RCMP, and he's been appalled with their actions over the years. And his colleagues have told him there's a lot of obstacles levied against them. Well, then they need to stand up, do the right thing, protest, and say this is wrong. Mm-hmm. I know that may cost them their pensions, their jobs, so forth, but sometimes you need to be a human being and say, this is wrong. This should not happen, and say what needs to be said, even if it costs you. Doing the right thing may cost you a lot. You have to do it when you need to do it.
PvP, can you read this, please? And I think we're on the 3-hour mark. We're going to wrap it up here. The fire.
Yeah, I should go before. I should try and eat something before Gorilla's doing. Gorilla's doing the Terminator movie tonight, by the way.
Would you please tell him about the Thunder Punch Gorilla mode?
Yeah, I will. I will actually tell him to check out this stream.
Thunder Punch. We love
so
you.
He can watch it firsthand. Hey, actually, hey Spider, do you ever do shorts? If you could do a short of the Thunder Punch, so I can link that to Gorilla, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
He did it as gamers.
I'll have to buy more, but yes, we can arrange.
Where you do a 1 minute, quickie stream.
Yeah,
like
I understand.
Doing those. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I'll read Nemesis's comment here. I would agree, Dark Helmet. Most cops were bullied or were bullies in high school. It keeps them in that position of power that they crave. Well, I'd say some cops. I wouldn't say most, but yeah, I get your point.
I would say 30 to 40%, probably 40% at the most.
Oh dear. Suzanne says, PvP, try being a teenage girl around RCMP perverts and child abusers.
Well, I'm glad I never was, Suzanne.
Me too.
No, and agreed. Nemesis, I'll never forget. Yep.
Were you?
I believe
it's a personal question, but you did experience that, Suzanne? I'm sorry if you did.
Firefighters versus cops happen so often, says Mrs. Veeden. I have a buddy on the fire department. The dick measuring stories that were something else, figuratively, of course.
I actually got a story for it.
I've never seen a fireman back down from a cop, says Suzanne. Absolutely, Old Man Bird from Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood, which is one of
that was my quote that Old Man Bird got.
I gathered. I can absolutely imagine. And Dark Helmet, do you mind reading this, please?
Absolutely. Nemesis of Eden. One of my foremen made a point that people who don't want to be cops should be ones who are cops. That's very true. Sometimes. They will be the ones who have the integrity to handle situations like an acute human being. Most part true, but I think hit or miss. I would say 75% of them in that case. Personal experience.
And do you mind reading this, please, PvP from Script Doctor?
Many of the guns that Canadians can own actually make Canadians a lot more deadly compared to handguns that are banned. Yeah, handguns in Canada generally are banned, so it's mostly longer range weapons that people are still legally able to own, it seems. Yeah.
And Snell Messiah says, here's how I feel about the U.S. The U.S. looking up at Canada. Nice country, oil field you have there. It would be a shame if something happened to it. You know what? But I doubt they're going to run the country any more badly than the government of the last 10 years. Like, let them have a try. Like, they're not going to do worse.
Let's just share the oil between Canada and the U.S. I'm fine with that.
If all of my dollars were all of a sudden gained 30% value, boy, that'd suck, wouldn't it?
Well, there's one thing that puzzles me about Trump. And I was very I remember that night when I watched the election results on Gorilla's stream. Oh. We had a great fun time. We were cheering as Harris lost one state after another, and the Democrats just got crushed. Nice. Oh, it was a great fun night. I had a great time with Gorilla. And Gorilla predicted every single state accurately except for one. I'm impressed. That guy is a very smart man. He's very smart. Anyway,
to Booty Duty Nick. Greetings, Spider-Man, he says. And yeah, thank you for being here. And do you want to say anything to end the stream with Dark Helmet? U.S. and Canada together, always, man. We got your back.
The U.S., Canada, and I think we need to throw Mexico in there if they can get rid of that socialist president of theirs and get rid of the cartels. If they could get rid of all that, I think we could just have a unifying North North American continent that would just nobody can mess with us.
That's
We would have tacos. We would have beer. We would have gasoline. Fuel. We would have Alaska.
Exactly.
We would have
Yep.
Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
It would just be amazing.
Gone down the hill, but yeah.
Yeah, you don't want
Well, not Tim Hortons.
Anymore,
I've
really.
had it once. It was
From 20 years ago. At PvP,
20
thanks
years
for
ago.
being here.
You're
PvP, do you have a last, we're going to end it here real quick. Do you have any last words, my friend?
I'm just going to say, if we get Pierre in, I think a lot of problems will be solved within 6 months. The only thing that mystifies me about when Trump said he didn't like the conservative leader, he didn't know, but he said he didn't know him. He didn't know anything about him, but he didn't like him because he didn't say nice things about Trump. And it's like, well, you know why he didn't say nice things? Because he's going Canada first. I'm going to defend Canada.
I can respect that. I can respect that.
And that's what he needs to say, those things to get elected, right? To put Canada first. Because if he doesn't, people are going to say, oh, you're just going to bend over and take it, right? And they're not going to vote for that. At least I wouldn't.
If Bill Maher can sit down with President Trump and have a conversation, if you can elect that your version of a conservative, and he can meet with, Trump, and they can sit down for, let's say 2-3 days. Let's, don't make it one night, make it over several days. If they can work that out, I think we can just take care of everything.
Now, can we include?
I think Pierre and Trump are very, very similar conservative stripes.
I think
really do. I think they're like at least 80% similar on the matter, right?
Right.
And if they get, I would love it if they get together at the White House, sit down for 2 or 3 days, maybe have a nice dinner together, drink a couple bottles of wine, get friendly, maybe, give each other a hug. I'm sure once we start doing, the backroom boys, we got, they both got their backroom boys that are going to.
You have public, then you have private,
exactly.
Yeah.
And
can we make an agreement?
They'll figure it out. I have faith.
I want to make an agreement with Panama. Have you heard of the Sandblast Islands in Panama? I did a stream on it not too long ago.
I've heard rumors of it. Yeah,
I'm not a world traveler like you.
Well,
Spidey.
I would like to include the Sandblast Islands in Panama in any such agreement, and here's a little video of them. Sandblast Islands in Panama.
I hate it. It's frustrating. Then you see them look at it. It's not a thing. And then you're trying to get it. Nice.
Oh.
Okay, that needs to be a combined U.S. and Canadian protected zone that we can all go to together.
I think
that
so.
Is beautiful. That was gorgeous.
That looked like nice sandy beaches. Hey, didn't Jamaica or someplace want to be part of Canada like 20
Jamaica? Yeah, Jamaica.
Yeah, that was weird, eh? That
doesn't make a whole lot of sense for them to want to do that.
It didn't make no sense at all.
Well, they're part of the Commonwealth.
I got a question for you guys. What do you say about
English Commonwealth?
Is it? Is it Iceland or Greenland? Whatever Trump wants. Yeah, Greenland. I think Greenland should be a combined U.S. Canada province.
Strategically, it makes sense.
It would make sense.
North America, Greenland sees the writing on the wall. North America is more successful than Europe. I think they would. Let's let the people of Greenland. Let's present them with the arguments. Let them vote.
Yeah,
and on that,
it should be a combined U.S. and Canada thing.
My family is.
I think they would respect that more.
Vote. We let them vote because right now they belong to Denmark. Yeah. So I think
Denmark
we can do a better.
Let them use their resources. They don't.
Exactly. We can do a better. We can.
If you did a combined U.S. Canada alliance. And they still control their country. They can run it how they want, but you let them do their resources. they will make so much money, and if they do it
Let them vote.
responsibly, and I'm fine with that.
Maybe we could annex them like Puerto Rico or something, right?
A
I don't know
province.
if we did.
You can make them a province.
Okay. Well,
That way
we can
Canadians
still.
and Americans can fly there with no passport.
Now, Messiah, have you ever chased a girl? Because you don't just, if she says no the first time, you still keep throwing the flowers and the presents. I don't recommend that, by the way.
Hey, I tried for years to get my first girlfriend Debbie, and she was just like, no.
Exactly.
And then
I
after
chased PvP for years.
after a couple of years, I'll never forget the night we spent on their parents' front lawn French kissing for 5 hours.
See, we just need to French kiss Denmark.
It was good.
That's right. There you
We
go.
just need to French kiss Denmark, and it'll be
One of my greatest memory of French necking ever. I gotta say.
Oh, we said no last
I
time.
miss Debbie. God
no.
bless you, Debbie.
Okay.
Wherever you are.
Well, I mean, okay, you can't hurt a country for trying, though. You can't you can't fault a guy for or a
That's
country
right.
for trying.
That's right. Stay positive. Stay positive.
Yeah, that's right. And hey, let the people decide.
Yep,
If one thing America stands for is let the people decide. And on that note,
like a joint U.S. Canada, you know, if they vote for it, have a joint U.S. Canada, and we can split the resources.
I bet it
And
does taste like
contribute equally.
Mrs. Eden.
Oh God.
Salute, everybody. Thank you for being here. And Script Doctor, it's nice to see you. He says, given so many countries have established governments, any country or province to be integrated into the U.S. can bypass a territory status just like Texas did. Yeah, okay. We'll see how it goes. You know what? One thing I've learned, world always changes. Humans love change. We thrive on it. That's what we do best. We adapt. We overcome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dark Helmet. Thank you, PvP.
Good night, everybody. It was good. That was great fun. Thanks, buddy.
It was. Yeah. Let's have more of these before the
God
fire
bless
ban
all of you.
comes.
Yes, definitely.
God bless us, each and every one.